Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup 2018. We would like to present to you the opening performance.
書道家新礼さんです。7歳から書道を始め、書の基礎を学び、読売書法展や日本書芸員展などで数々の賞を受賞。従来の書道の枠を超えた新たな書の楽しみ方や書のさまざまなデザインを考案するなど、幅広い分野に挑戦し、魅力ある書の表現方法にチャレンジしています。書道パフォーマンスは日本のみならず、アメリカ・ニューヨーク、フランス・ルーブル美術館などワークショップ、個展などもグローバルに活動。伝統的な書にイマジネーション、インスピレーションを織り交ぜ、文字に感情表現をつけ、時に心にパワーを、時に心に癒しを、時に心を揺さぶる、そんな思いを感じられる生きる書を発信し、日々書の道を歩み続けていらっしゃいます。
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the calligraphy performer, Japanese calligraphy performance by Shinrei. さあ完成した2つの文字、 ドリフトの世界が表現された煙、そして戦うという2文字です。会場の皆様、書道家新レイさんに大きな拍手をお送りください。
Please give her a huge round of applause. Two words are completed. Left hand side is a smoke and the right hand side is a battle, showing the world of drift.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, welcome to FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup 2018. Here is the opening group drifting performance.
Here we go!
All right, here comes the first group.
Wow! Wow! Wow!
最初
Wow!
のコーナー曲がってきました。
すごいタックスオンですね。Oh my god!
一気に加速していきます。
これは
まだコーナーを曲がってきて、見事なグループの走行を見せてくれています。
素晴らしい。
Alright,
That was a beautiful performance.
さあまずグループパフォーマンス、
すごいですね。シンクロ具合が。
はい、1グループ目ご覧いただきました。まだまだ続きますよ皆さん。先ほどのグループパフォーマンス、最初に出てきてくれたのはシルビアのグループでした。さあ続いてはどのマシーンが出てくるんだ。
さあ次も6台が出てくる予定です。
先ほどのグループ1、
はい、
走行してくれたのは田中聖美、村山智弘、内海明則、山口理子寺、そして上野、そして大グループが来てしまった。
来ま
Here
し
comes the
た。
second group.
Wow, this is amazing, beautiful sliding.
And here comes the second corner too.
Wow.
煙をまき散らしている。Let's go. そしておっとちょっとこれは外れたか。
外れたか。まあそんなこともありつつ、でも本当に6台が綺麗に揃ってて美しいですね。
さあちょっとこれは1個ボールが弾かれてしまいましたので、
はい、
コースのクリーンアップに入ります。
コース上に何か2つあるんですが、あのままで大丈夫なんでしょうか。
さあまだまだいきますよ。続いては第3のグループが登場してくれます。さあスタートしました。
They're coming now.
まずは最初のストレート、一気に加速して、
すごい、最初のストレートからドリフトかけてき
さあ
ましたね。
これ第3グループは5台が
Oh my god! Beautiful circulation!
第3グループは GTR スカイライン180、86スープラ RX7。
これは途中でハイビームをね照らすなんて余裕がありますね。
あっという間に駆け抜けていきました。
かっこいい、素敵。いや素晴らしいパフォーマンスでしたね。
はい、ということでまずはオープニングのグループドリフティングパフォーマンスご覧いただきました。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup 2018. 会場の皆様、 世界ナンバーワンドリフト選手を決める大会 FIA インターコンチネンタルドリフティングカップ2018東京ドリフトにようこそお越しくださいました。ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。さて、このドリフト競技というのは現在世界40カ国以上で行われておりまして、世界の選手がここ日本東京お台場に世界トップドライバーが集結。世界ナンバーワンドリフト選手は一体誰が獲得するのでしょうか。もうワクワクしております。
はい、ということで申し遅れましたけれども、ちょっと自己紹介をさせていただきましょう。今日の MC を務めさせていただきますケリー龍介と申します。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
さあ、そして
ありがとうございます。
はい、アシスタントは中谷真紀子です。よろしくお願いいたします。
よろしくお願いいたします。い
は
やー、今日もたくさんの人にお越しいただきました。本当に皆さん来ていただいてありがとうございます。どうやら国の旗を
そうですね
かけてる、方もいらっしゃって、We have people, guests from all around the world. ありがとうございます。世界中からの今日は皆さんが来てくれているということですよ。そしてこれは
なんと
世界に配信されるんですね。
そうなんです。 YouTube ライブ、Facebook ライブなどこう世界1億人に向けて配信されているということなんですね。
はい、なので実況中継もされつつ、今日は皆さん現場にいらっしゃっていますので、生のドリフトを最後まで堪能していただきたいと思います。
はい、
それではここで本日のゲストをご紹介しましょう。ゲストはこのお二人です。 Today's two special guests, a blue Camaro convertible, one of the top drivers in the world, Manabu Orido and Nobuteru Taniguchi。
はい、改めてご紹介いたしましょう。のりとまなぶさんと谷口信輝さんです。そして後ろに座っている美しい美女は IDC イメージガール藤木由紀さんと小島みやびさんです。今日はよろしくお願いいたします。ゲストお二方とイメージガールのゆきさんとみやびさんが正面までやってまいりました。
到着しました。改めて折戸学さん、そして谷口信輝さんです。大きな拍手をお送りください。
皆さんこんにちは。
イメージガール藤木由紀さん、小島みやびさんです。
どうぞ拍手をお送りください。さあ、それでは改めて本日のゲストお二人に一声いただきたいと思います。まずは折戸学さんです。
皆さんおはようございます。いよいよこの日がやってきました。今日は一日楽しく激しく楽しんでいきましょう。よろしくお願いします。
折戸さん、よろしくお願いいたします。そしてお隣にいらっしゃるのは谷口信輝さんです。
皆さんおはようございます。谷口信輝です。今日はですね、解説頑張りますので、皆さん一日楽しんでください。よろしくお願いします。
谷口さんもよろしくお願いいたします。ということで、こんな豪華なお二人をお迎えしてお届けしていきます。そしてイメージがお二人からもお声をいただきたいと思います。ではまずは IDC イメージガール藤木由紀さん、お願いいたします。
はい、皆さんこんにちは。FIA インターコンチネンタルドリフティングカップのイメージガールを務めさせていただきます。藤木由紀です。今日は一日よろしくお願いします。
それでは続いて小島みやびさん、お願いします。
同じくイメージガールを務めさせていただきます。小島みやびです。よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いいたします。 ということで本日はオリドさんそして谷口さんをお迎えしてお届けしていきたいと思います、今日の FIA インターコンチネンタルドリフティングカップ2018です。いやいよいよ始まるというところですけれども、先ほどブルーのカマロでご登場いただきましたけれども、オリドさんドリフトは見せてくれなかったですか？
そうですね、僕らがやってしまうといろいろとよからぬことも起きてしまうので
なるほど。なんか後でオリドさんのドリフトを見てみたいなって僕は思ってしまったんですけれども、
さあそれでは世界トップ選手の素晴らしいバトルに期待しましょう。
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup 2018. Here is the opening 選手入場です。それでは参戦する21名のドライバーをここでご紹介いたしましょう。まずは Car number 71 from Belarus, Zach Sergey.
Next is car number 52 from China, Chen Wenjian.
Car number 55 from Czech Republic, Marko Zagaril.
Car number 84, Hong Kong, Charles N.
And car number 3 from Korea, Chon Junyeon.
Car number 11, Malaysia, Muhammad Zaihan Hamdan.
And car number 12 from Malaysia, Sunku Janlei.
Car number 77, Mozambique, Richard Khan Shabil Khan.
And car number 17 from the Philippines, Luis Gono.
Car number 20, Philippines, Tony Tsuyoshi Alakaki.
And car number 13 from Russia, Ilya Fyodorov.
Car number 31, Russia, Georgy Timchan. Gotcha!
And car number 88 from Russia, Arkady Taleglev, Arkasha.
Car number 91, Switzerland, Yves Meyer.
And car number 45 from Thailand, Chanapom Kedopyam S.
Car number 59, Thailand, Vitamphone Twin Train, Pong.
And car number 61 from Chinese Taipei, Fan Ninchi Atsu.
Japan, Masato Kawabata.
And car number 9 from Japan, Naoto Suenaga.
Car number 66 from Japan, Hideyuki Fujino.
And car number 70 from Japan, Masashi Yokoi.さあということで会場の皆様、世界11の国2つの地域からトップドライバー21名にお集まりいただきました。大きな拍手をお送りください。
Please give the huge round of applause for the top 21 drivers from 11 countries and the 2 areas.
それでは FIA インターコンチネンタルドリフティングカップ2018、本日ご列席の皆様をご紹介いたします。
まずは FIA インターコンチネンタルドリフティングカップ2018一般社団法人日本自動車連盟会長 JAF 八代隆義様。
Mr. Takayoshi, the President of Japan Automobile Federation, JAF.
続きましてフィスコクラブ会長田中幸光様。
Mr. Tanaka Yukimitsu, the Chairman of Fiscal Club.
続きまして大会名誉顧問土屋圭一様。
Mr. Keiichi Tsuchiya, Honorary Event Advisor.
続きまして株式会社サンプレス代表斉田勲様。
Mr. Isao Saita, the CEO of SUNPROS.
続きまして FIA 国際自動車連盟オフィシャルコーディネーターマレック・ナバレキ様。
Mr. Marek Nawareki, FIA Federación Internacional de l'Automobile FIA Official Coordinator.
以上の皆様よろしくお願いいたします。
それでは FIA インターコンチネンタルドリフティングカップ2018一般社団法人日本自動車連盟 JAF 八代隆義会長よりご挨拶を申し上げます。
So Mr. Takayoshi, Yashiro, the President of Japan Automobile Federation JAF would like to make an opening address.
JAF 会長の八代でございます。本日はコンチネンタルドリフティングカップに大勢のモータースポーツファンの皆様にお越しいただき大変ありがとうございます。
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Yashiro, and I am the president of the Japanese Automobile Federation. It is great pleasure to welcome you all, lovers of the motorsports, here with us today for this fabulous event.
ありがとうございました。それでは続きまして開催国国歌斉唱を行います。会場の皆様、関係者の皆様、ご起立ご脱帽の上、国旗映像にご注目ください。選手の皆様は後方をお向きください。
Please everyone raise yourself for the Japan National Anthem.
会場の皆様、ご協力ありがとうございました。どうぞご着席ください。選手の皆様、どうぞ元の位置にお戻りください。FIA インターコンチネンタルドリフティングカップ2018開会宣言です。開会宣言はドリフトのパイオニア、大会名誉顧問ドリフトキング土屋圭一さんです。
Please welcome Drift King, Mr. Keiichi Tsuchiya, Honorary Event Advisor.
皆さんこんにちは、土屋圭一です。1984年にドリフトという言葉が生まれました。そこから30数年経って、40カ国以上でこのドリフトのイベントが行われるようになりました。また JAF の皆さん、 FIA の皆さん、認められて今この場にいると思います。第2回目を迎えますけれども、本当に皆さんのご尽力のおかげだと思っております。ありがとうございます。それでは FIA インターコンチネンタルドリフティングカップ2018を開催いたします。
Thank you very much, Drift King, Mr. Keiichi Tsuchiya.
ありがとうございました。皆様どうぞ素晴らしいバトルを期待してくださいね。どうぞ皆さん選手に改めて大きな拍手をお願いいたします。
Again, please give them more all the driver to the huge round of applause.
FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup 2018世界ナンバーワンドリフト選手は一体誰が獲得するのでしょうか。世界トップ21選手の素晴らしいバトルにどうぞご期待ください。
What is drifting? Drifting is the art of making a car go sideways. Born on the winding mountain roads of Japan in the 1970s, enthusiasts would compete in illegal time trials called toge. The drivers became known as the Zoku and were soon renowned for their daring maneuvers as they danced cars down the public roads in an effort to score the best time. Over 40 years, the discipline has evolved from a time trial to a precision driving display. It is now hugely popular, and the events are no longer run outside of the law. Having become a national sport in Japan, drifting is now crossing borders and winning millions of fans around the world. The most famous of the Zoku is Kishi Tsuchiya, nicknamed the Drift King. In his youth, he looked up to the great Kunimitsu Takahashi, a hero of motorsport on 2 and 4 wheels, who inspired a love of drifting in the young Tsuchiya with his spectacular car control. Determined to make his dream a reality, Kishi Tsuchiya organized the first event devoted entirely to the drift in 1988 with the backing of auto magazines. The public responded with great enthusiasm, and where the spectators go, the sponsors follow. Professional drifting was born. Drifting is a technique where the driver intentionally causes the car to oversteer by braking the traction of rear, or sometimes all 4 tires, while maintaining control all the way around a corner. There are typically 2 sessions at a drift event, individual runs called solo, and the finals are tandem runs referred to as battle. Drivers must slide their cars through a designated course while they're judged on their speed, the angle of their drifts, and of course, their overall driving skills. Clipping points are marked on the circuit, and drivers must slide the rear wheels of the car through them to score maximum points. On tandem runs, drivers must also take turns leading and chasing, with the lead car following the qualifying line and the chase car mirroring the driver ahead. What's more, the second car must try to stay as close as possible without making contact. A majority vote from the judges at the end of each battle is needed to proceed to the next stage of competition. The sport is currently spreading rapidly around the globe and has already become massively popular in North America, Australia, Asia, and Europe. At the top levels of competition, the D1 Grand Prix Series in Japan was the first major championship to be organized and remains one of the top drifting arenas. Drifting is becoming the chosen motorsport for the PlayStation generation because it is perhaps the most exciting way to express yourself behind the wheel. The huge range of skills needed to compete at the top creates a thrilling show for the fans, and the result is a spectacle to rival any other sport on the planet. It is also very popular as an amateur discipline, and while it looks complicated from the outside, anybody can learn to drift. All you need is a rear-wheel drive car, a circuit, a passion for driving, and a lot of practice. Drifting is one of the most exciting ways to enjoy motorsport. The thrill of balancing a car on the edge of control is unlike anything else. Want to drift? Contact your national sports authority.
My name is Arkady, I'm from Russia, and this round I tried to win.
So I'm Yves Meyer from Switzerland. I'm very excited to be at the home of drifting in Japan. Let's go for it.
皆さんこんにちは、ラビ西田です。I'm Robbie Nishida. Welcome to the second annual FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup. This is a time that everybody's been waiting for. This is a big leap for drifting. Let's see who's going to take the top spot this weekend. Check it out. 見逃すな。
So we're here at the FIA Intercontinental Drift Challenge with Tengu Jan. Lovely to meet you. Just here to ask you a few questions about the event. How does it compare to your events at home, and what's your expectations of being here?
Well, I mean, we used to have the World Championships D1 back in 06, 07, and then the Red Bull in 08. So it's great to have like an international drift cup, if you want to call it. So it's good to be back. Yeah.
Get all the guys together again.
Yeah,
racing.
correct, definitely.
Perfect. So who do you think from that is your biggest challenge here today?
It's the Japanese home ground, and the Russians are super strong. So I think these two guys are the ones to look out for.
You got any names for me?
I can Gotcha for sure. You're talking about Kawabata, really good.
Yeah. And you're here driving Saito Daigo's well-prepared JZX100 here.
Yes, we're doing D1 China this year, so you know the schedule's so tight we couldn't ship our car over, and we thought, you know, if we were going to come out here, better come out with a good car. I was quite surprised. I mean, the first time driving it, took me 3 laps to get used to it, and it's so easy to drive, and it feels like a Sylvia. Just that the wheelbase is a bit longer, but other than that, it's really easy to drive. I was quite surprised.
Well, the Japanese say that 3 laps is a sign of a true professional, so that must be the case in this instance. So we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Good luck with the event.
Thank you.
And thank you for your time.
No worries.
Thanks. so we're now meeting up with Ponsan from Bangkok in Thailand. Pon, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hajimemashite.
Hajimemashite.
So, how are you doing over here in Japan? What's your feeling about this event? Are you excited to be here?
Yes, with this event, FIA, every country come to here, very hot spots. I want to put very good drifting show for everything.
A good international competition.
Yeah, cool.
And how is your car running here today? I see you're in a GT86.
Yes.
So what's the engine inside?
This year I use in 86 and engine GTR engine. We are Bua up HKS 451. About 1,000 horsepower.
1,000 horsepower.
Wow.
1,000 horsepower.
Very big torque.
So with all this power, who do you think will be your biggest competition? So your number one battle?
Today, very Goja in Russia, where Goja Lukaja, very good diver, and Kabata-san, Fujino-san, very good diver.
The best twin battle.
Yeah.
Chuiso Joto ne. Chuiso Joto. So good luck today.
Yeah.
Have a lovely time at the event, and thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
So we moved along and we're here with the 2 times 2017 and 2018 Russian Drift Series champion, Gotcha, from Siberia. How are you doing today, and are you enjoying the event?
Yes, sure, I'm enjoying the event. Nice to see many international drivers, many Japan drivers, big event, good experience. Yeah.
So who do you think is your biggest competition? Who would you most like to beat today?
You know, in Japan, all driver big challenge for me, because everybody very high level driver, and interesting to drive with that. Very fast switches, fast initiation, everything good.
Everything's high level, yeah.
Yeah, I like Japan style. I build my car with Japan style, and I try driving same.
Okay, so about your car, you can see it's a Nissan S15. What's the engine inside, and how much power do you have?
Yes, this is S15 SR20 engine, V8 head, 700 horsepower, Borg Warner turbo, Mali pistons crankshaft. I like my SR because car very good handling. I try use Silvia with another engines, good power, good torque, okay, but handling so-so. And I keep my engine every year growing up a level to build the engine, and I'm happy to be there with my SR.
Well, I'm a big fan of the SR, and I'm a big fan of the car, so we wish you the best of luck in the competition, and we'll speak to you afterwards. See you again soon.
Thank you.
Now that all the drivers are warmed up, it looks like everybody's dialed in. Let's not make you wait any longer. We're going to go straight into qualifying, which is going to determine the lineup for the later battles that we have today.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the FIA IDC Intercontinental Drifting Cup. How are you doing? My name is Alexi Smith. I'm here today with Cyrus Nozomu Seta and David Callis.
Hey, good morning everyone. At least
morning.
Tokyo time.
Yes, it's about 10 past 11 in the morning here in Tokyo.
Yeah, we got a lovely cold, well, it's not so lovely actually, it's kind of cold and cloudy today.
It is a little bit cold and cloudy. It was beautiful weather yesterday for the final round of D1 Grand Prix, but we're here today for the FIA. Cloudy, but not too windy, which is good. We're right down on Tokyo Bay, right next to the water. And you can get really cold here, but luckily at this time of year, but luckily right now, not too windy, just enough to blow the smoke away, which we're going to see a lot of today, of course, watching drifting. Big horsepower cars from all around the world. Now what we're going to have here on the screen is the course layout. So we'll get David, who is one of the FIA guys, to give you a quick talk about the track itself, the judging, and so forth. So David, how's the track laid out?
Okay, hi everybody. There's one huge change against last year, and this is the judging part. It was like a lot of effort to make it through. So what you can see is the completely new layouts where you can see zones and inside clipping points. So the cars are starting from the initiation. There will be like separation for the lead car and chase car, coming into the first outside zone directly to the wall, so they need to scrape the wall. Afterwards they are like leaving the wall slightly and getting back at outside zone 2. Just at the beginning of outside zone 2 there is a deceleration point where the cars can slow down, and from that point to the finish they need to be on throttle. Coming into the inner clip 1 and the inner clip 2, there should be like very fast transition, nicely tied around the outside zone 3, and 2 next transitions around inner clip 3. And through the finish, cars are not allowed to cross the line even behind the finish. The track is like 11 meters wide, so there is not much space for mistakes to stay between the lines.
Okay, so there you go. That's the course here this weekend, and thumbs up. Who was that? That was Tane, was that? Which driver was that? A driver from Indonesian driver, I think? I'm not too sure, but anyway, so we're about to begin the action. Drifting, two components of a drift competition. The knob on the bottom left.
解いていきたいですけども、なんとなく今のところはわからないです。結構これ始まってみて、もしかするとではお二人もこのジャッジは
So two parts of drifting: solo runs and battles. So if you're not too familiar with how drifting works, the main competition is tandem battles. That's when you have two cars driving head to head. They switch positions and then drive again. So it's one car leads, one car follows. The chase car does their best to mimic the lead car. The lead car does their best to do the best driving they can. And you have a winner from that. It goes through a battle tree format, top 16 all the way through to a final. But of course before that, like any other motorsport, we have qualifying in drifting as well. Each of the cars does what's known in Japanese originally as tanso, solo runs. They get two solo runs, which are judged. The best one scored run is taken into account. Then you get a rank. Then those drivers go into the battle tree in that rank system. So an analogy would be like in racing motorsport, the grid, qualifying for the grid, the fastest car goes into first, same thing, highest score goes into the highest position, all the way down to 16. Below 16 gets knocked out.
And boy, the noise is absolutely incredible from where we're sitting right now.
You've got a bunch of cars that are practicing their runs right now. I guess you could say this is the lead up to what is going to be the main event of the Tanso or the solo runs.
Just a quick warm up for all the cars out there. They get a quick course run, as you can see. Like we see in racing motorsport before qualifying, weaving across the track, warming up their tyres, getting a bit of heat into their tyres, especially the fronts. Here in this layout, you do not want any kind of understeer coming into this layout with the big concrete wall on the outside.
Actually, any understeer is a crash.
At this course, if you understeer, you're going into the wall, 100%. Well, some of the criticism of last year's layout of the FIA IDC was the course was not high level enough. Some people thought the entry was a bit too slow and didn't allow the drivers to show their true skill. Well, this time, it's extremely hardcore. Straight line into a long sweeping right-hand corner along a wall with an outside clipping zone.
You can really see the American signage here by the track layout.
Right. Yeah, the American influence, of course, in American drifting circles, that's not even a pun there. You do get a lot of drifting being used on oval tracks, utilizing the long sweeping corners of the oval tracks. You get a lot of smoke in those corners too. But, of course, it does cut in very quickly to an inside section of the course. Very technical.
But you know, one impressive thing about this drifting tournament that we got today is we have 21 racers who are taking part in the Tanso runs, but they're representing a whopping 13 countries around the world. I mean, drifting is indeed becoming probably the most international sport since, I guess you could say, soccer or football.
Well, these days you can go to pretty much any country around the world where there are rear-wheel drive cars and there'll be someone drifting. It's a great motorsport. It really captured the imagination of people, starting off, of course, in Japan, broadening out to Europe, USA, even Australia, where I'm from. And now it's an absolutely worldwide phenomenon, especially for spectators. It's great to watch for spectators, even if you don't really know what's going on. It's just action. There's always going to be someone out there that you can root for, someone you know, a car that maybe you find yourself familiar with, a car that you drive.
You can really see everything at one spot. This is the nicest thing about the drifting. Especially here, you have like a lot of spectators here, and they can see the track from the start till the finish. Like if you compare it to a different motorsport, then you will see that you will just see the straight line or one corner. That's it. But here you can see everything from the start to the finish. All the show is going just in front of you.
Yeah, they've designed the layout here at the Diver to give maximum viewage to every single person.
And it looks like we're about to get started with the solo runs Group A. The first runner we have got Deshapan Toing Charan from Thailand.
Okay, so first driver, Thai. This car, GT86 Toyota with a Nissan GTR engine. Okay, here we go, the first run. All the way to the outside of the track. Great first run from Pon, as he's known. He does have a very long name. He shortens it to Pon when he comes to Japan. He ran also yesterday, so he's had a long weekend, Friday practice, Saturday competition, also Sunday today in the FIA. So a great first run.
Also, it would be great to say that the score is split into 4 places. It's 30 points for the line, 30 points for the style, 30 points for the angle, and 10 points for the speed. The speed is divided into 2 parts, the initiation and overall average speed. The style is in commitments and fluidity. The angle is about the angle, the amount of it, but the car cannot be with huge angle with which it will be slowing down, but it cannot have like too small angle just to trying to evade from the opponent then in the battles. And line is nicely said, what we said during the beginning with the track layout.
And we have actually got quite a lot of involvement from the human judges who are going to be judging those 3 or 4 aspects, as you mentioned.
Yes, we have 3 judges. One is Ryan Lantain from Canada. He's judging Formula Drift. Then we have Dmitry Dobrovolsky from RDS from Russia. And then we have Kamimoto-san from D1GP. So very skilled judges. We will see the judging just right now.
Yeah, so human judging this time around at FIA.
And that was quite a nice, smooth first run, wasn't it?
That was actually very good. I mean, Pon has been out there all weekend. He went through an entire competition yesterday with D1 Grand Prix. So he definitely has a good setup on this car. And we're just about to watch another replay. Yeah, here it is.
There we go.
All the way out to the edge of the track. This is a scary, scary track to drive on. Full speed towards heavy concrete walls. Here we go. So here is the score, 68.
Scored low on the angle, didn't he? What do you think, David?
Yeah, the scoring on the angle is quite low. He got almost maximum on the speed. The line, he also lost some points there. So, yeah, he needs to try more next time. The level is high.
Now, regarding the speed, they do have a minimum entry speed, right, David?
Yeah, they have minimum entry speed, and then they have different levels on average speed. So if you are above the entry speed which is given, then you have 5 points, and then the other 5 points are divided by the speed what you got. So he got like 5 points for the initiation and 4 points for the rest.
Okay, and our second solo runner, we have got Saks Sergey from Belarus.
Okay, our second driver now, Belarusian Saks Sergey. Here we go, here's his entry. Out along the wall. Once again, a bit of a shallower line than we just saw from Pon. Pon was actually really good for a first run. This Toyota GT86 through the course, now into the in section. Watch the flick back here. Yeah, a little bit slow there on the flick. What the judges want to see is when they change direction on these cars, it's quick and aggressive and violent. And Sergey over the finish line. Not a bad first run.
Yeah, but he definitely can be closer to the wall in the first corner. He initiated nicely, close to the wall, but then he lost too much speed, so he was pushed inside. So this is like definitely what the line judge do not want to see in the first corner.
Yeah, unfortunately for these guys, but fortunately for us, the most dangerous line is the best judge line.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also the line which is most likely to result in a crash.
Hopefully not. Yeah, I was quite surprised that there was only one crash during the practice during the last 3 days. So this is good, and also shows the level of the driving here.
That's right. It's good to see that these guys can come out straight away with not a whole lot of practice compared to probably what they're used to, and throw it down as hard as they can right now.
Well, a lot of these racers have been here since Friday, I believe, which is when they've been setting up for this event since Friday. And from what I understand, Friday and Saturday, they were more or less practicing all day, weren't they?
Actually, they did well compared to how they normally do at these kind of events. They have got a fair bit of practice, but of course, you could always ask them, would you like to do more? And
they'd say yes.
100% would say, yes, give me one more lap, one more lap.
They would say, could we have one more week, if possible, to get used to this course?
Yeah, drivers have never enough of
and
training.
here's the score, 73 points. Okay, so a 5-point improvement on Pong, who was the first runner today for the solo runs.
It's nicely visible that what he lost in the first corner for the line, he completely put it down in the next zones and clips, because there he was like very tidy in the next part of the track. So yeah, good for him, but he needs to push more. 71, I'm not sure if it would be enough.
Okay, now we've got our second Thai runner today, Chanatpom Kurd PM. Let's see how he does.
All right, next run now, the Lexus IS.
We got Kurd PM.
Here comes the entry, quite slow on the entry.
Oh.
And a straighten up there. Now this course, the course surface, it is not...
It looks there's some problem with differential, because the smoke was coming only from one wheel.
So he may have broken a drive shaft.
Yeah, drive shaft or
something like that.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah, the problem with this course is it is a car park generally. It's not the flattest of surfaces. So like a street course, there are issues involved with that. One of which is because of the bumps on here and the huge grippy tires that these guys run, it can break drive shafts very easily.
Grip of tires was raised a lot by Japanese. Like they bring so grippy tires that other world just needed to try to follow. So everybody just bring the biggest tires what they can get and make them as sticky as possible, lowest pressure as possible.
Yeah, we do have some guys out here this weekend, like Masato Kawabata in the Trust GTR running huge Toyo R888s on the back.
Drift spec.
It's
a completely new spec for this year.
That's right.
It's way easier to handle that. So yeah, it's very hard to follow.
If you thought tyres were a big issue in other motorsports, wait until you get involved in drifting. Because you know, they're only doing these runs for less than a minute at a time, and the tyres can usually last only about 2 runs, depending on the car, the track, and of course the driver. Some drivers much more heavy-footed than others, but it does allow them to show their own unique style. So unfortunately, their car issues.
Oh, and yep, looks like this is a full-on 0 for Chanutpom Kurtpm.
So a 0 for him.
Hopefully he will be able to repair the car for the next run.
He could be able to. Yeah, he might be able to repair it in time. They do have a fairly big gap between their 2 qualifying runs, and in which they do have a chance to take the car back to the pit. A part like that should be able to be changed fairly quickly.
Okay, and next we have got Fang Jiangqi representing Taiwan.
Right, here we go, next run now.
Now let's see how he does.
Take a very wide line on the entry towards the wall.
Ooh.
That was scary to watch, but he's managed to pull it off. He needs to keep a nice clean angle. He's doing it fairly well. You want to see the cars hold that angle cleanly and not wobble around. Okay, here comes the transition back. Okay, he's coming down the middle of the track, not really getting those clipping points that well on the inside.
I would say that from our perspective, it's very hard to say to how close he was to some points, but the judges has definitely better view from their judging tower, so we will definitely need to believe them, because here we can see like all the car, but where is the exact positioning is very hard to say. So.
But that was indeed quite an adventurous run from Chi there. I think it's the most entertaining one I've seen so far today.
Oh, just you wait.
Of course, but we're just getting started.
We're just getting started.
Oh, yeah.
That was a bit of a sketchy entry there. You can see he kind of had to wash off a lot of speed.
Actually, nowadays it looks that if you want to have like winning machine, you just take S15, put 2J inside of it, prepare it for the race, and it's a very good combination.
Yeah, like most other motorsports in the world, small lightweight car, high horsepower engine is a fairly good formula for building a drift car. But of course it can come down to your own individual style. Of course that's one of the best things about drifting. Of course within the rules you can build a car pretty much any way you want on any kind of base. Because they are talking about homologating chassis, using only modern cars and things like that in the future. But it's great to see a lot of these cars, even some of which are based 25, even 35 years old and over, all the way up to brand new models. We'll be seeing brand new cars like BMWs and things like that coming out later today. So that entry there, a bit sketchy there. He was looking at the wall.
He was trying to get closer.
Oh, yeah. And we have got the score here, 66. The speed, he scored very low on the speed, it looks like.
Yeah, because he slowed down a lot before the wall. It looks that he gets slightly scared. But if I would be there on his position, I would not be different.
True, but he did score high on style. I mean, that was a very stylish run. Unfortunately, just not very fast.
All right, so Feng Jianqi, one more run for him. He'll be able to make it out again. Remember, these guys get 2 runs.
And now we have got the Japanese drifter Masato Kawabata. Yeah, the grand champion of drifting. Now this should be exciting to watch.
He took out the championship a couple of years ago for Darren Grand Prix. Here comes the first run, the GTR VR38. Huge, look at the speed difference. All the way to the edge of the wall.
Freewheeling.
That came very close to scraping the wall right there.
Look at the smoke coming off the GTR, screaming that 3.8 litre.
Like yesterday he had issues with the car, but it looks that all issues are completely gone. The car is working perfectly. Very nice run by Kawabata.
I want to see what the speed score is for that run. Very aggressive in such a big, heavy car. Getting a round of applause from the audience. Look at this entry here, 90 degrees along the wall, out to the outer zone. He's ticking all the boxes. You saw in the stats they gave him a 5 for every single aspect for this car. It is, of course, a monster build, high budget build designed to win the championship.
Everything made from carbon fiber on this car. But if you look on the car how it's moving on this track, it looks that like the last 2 days it was not able to breathe here. Like it was like looking that it wants to breathe, but it's not able. But now it looks that he finally managed to use all the power, all the grip of the car to set some nice score.
Well, Kawabata is the man to beat in this FIA drift competition.
In last year's FIA, when it came down to the finals, drivers like Kawabata and also the other Japanese driver Yokoi were two of the ones to beat, along with, of course, the Russians. So looking forward to seeing what's going to happen today. But that's an amazingly good run from Kawabata for his first. Of course, strategy can play a part in qualifying, depending on the driver, how they like to play it. Some drivers like to go all out on both runs. Some drivers like to sort of take it easy on the first run or try something a bit different on their first run and kind of gauge the current track conditions and their car's condition. Drivers like Kawabata, generally Kawabata likes to go 100% on run one. He likes to try and settle it on his first run. We've seen him do that a few times in D1 Grand Prix as well.
Sorry, this is like really D1 thing, you know. In D1 you really want to have the highest possible qualifying score from round one, so the Japanese are doing that more. In Europe or US you can see more that the drivers are more safe running in the first run and then they're smoking it.
And David, we have got our score 76, a whopping 26 on style. Not as much as I thought it was going to be. He scored a bit low on angle, it looks like.
Yeah, that's not the kind of angle we generally see from Kawabata. Usually comes in much more aggressively. We saw them driving yesterday. But of course, he does have one more run. 26 for style.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was an incredible run. And he scored a whopping 9 on speed as well.
So he needs to put some more angle.
Yep, let's hope he does.
I think he can do it. I'm fairly sure he can do that.
It's Kawabata. He is going to do it.
Okay.
Like with those level of drivers, you just tell them what they need to do and they just do it the next time. No problem.
Okay, and we have got our next racer from Korea, Jung Jun-young. Now, his figures are way lower than Kawabata. A lot of 3s in his case, whereas with Kawabata, it was all 5, as he mentioned earlier.
Well, I mean, stats can be one thing, but the results speak for themselves.
Definitely.
So here comes our next Hyundai Genesis with a Hyundai engine. So an all-Korean entry here. Quite shallow on the entry, taking a middle line.
Yeah, but if we speak about the grip, this car is not prepared to hand that much grip like the other cars. So he was like fighting with it a lot. It doesn't mean that he's not a good driver, but the setup is completely different than he's driving normally with.
Yeah, so one of the reasons why the FIA is being run, drifting is being run, is because we really want to see what the average world, like we're trying to set a world standard, and so that people all around the world have an idea of what standard they need to build their cars to. Of course, some series will build their cars in a certain way because that's sort of the style for that particular country. Others will do it in another way. So what the FIA is doing is allowing all the drivers to come together, see what the standard is like for different drivers, levels of skill, level of car build, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to see a fairly worldwide standard of drifting so everyone knows how they need to build their car.
It's very good that FIA is actually listening to all drifting world. They are inviting people all around the world from different series to listen what is run in each country, and then they are trying to make something which would be like possible to run by everybody. Still, we are definitely not at the end of the line, and we will need to develop a lot. But it's on the right spot, I think.
I think so, yeah, without a doubt.
The drifting competitions have only really been around for a couple of decades. Compare that to other forms of motorsport that have been around for much longer than that. It's only just getting started.
Okay, and I think we have got one of our reporters on the scene here. Or maybe not.
Of course, they're on the commentary stand doing the Japanese commentary. We've got 2 of the big figures of drifting, Max Arito and Nobuteru Taniguchi. Taniguchi, a former D1 Grand Prix champion and a current GT driver. Of course, Arito also a GT driver. So they know what they're talking about when it comes to drifting. So
without a doubt.
Glad to have them here doing the commentary for the locals. So replay there, big understeer there.
And coming out of the track, like 4 wheels off.
4 wheels off.
It means incomplete. If there is 1 wheel off, it's a small deduction. 2 wheels bigger, 3 wheels quite a huge one. 4 wheels, it's incomplete.
So Hyundai Genesis
It's a cool car.
It is a cool car. It's good to see that that Hyundai, the Korean manufacturer, making cars like this rear-wheel drive. We do see they're not, of course, as popular as all of the ubiquitous Japanese and European models such as BMWs that are being used in drifting. But it is an option out there. We're seeing people in the United States start to pick up Hyundais to use for drifting over there.
No, but at this moment, it's very hard to find like new car which you can use for drifting. As you said, like those cars are 25, 30 years old and they're not getting younger. So you really need to find something which is like way newer, way more possible for the future, for the drift. And hopefully we will see something different.
And he has got a 0 over here.
So an overall score, unfortunately, 0 for our Korean driver after going completely off the track. He does have one more run to make up for it though. So we'll see him out again. Hopefully he can make some adjustments, maybe adjust his tire pressures.
Okay, and now we're going to move on to our next racer, our first from Russia today, Mr. Ilya Fedorov. Now, we have got quite a number of Russian contestants in today's drift tournament.
Here's our first one, driving the very interesting car, S14 Sylvia.
With a Boss kit.
With a Boss kit on it. It's designed to look like a retro Nissan. Very popular kit. Very smooth run so far from the first Russian competitor. All the way out to the edge of the wall. This is a great run. Very smooth, very stylish. Watch the flick back in the transition. Not quite as hard as we'd like to see, but still very smooth. Hits the outer zone there, all the way out over the finish line. Ilya Fedorov from Russia, and flooring it over the finish line for style. Great first run from him.
That was a beautiful finish.
Nice initiation by him. I really liked it. This car, it's somehow really nice and common build in drifting world, but also it's not that common because it's running SR. And nowadays you definitely not see SRs much. But if we are looking on his run, it was like really on the line. Nice initiation, very committed in the first corner. And then he slightly lost here on that outside zone. He can be closer to that line, but the overall very nice run.
Very nice run. Of course, as you said, the SR20, we're referring to the Nissan 4-cylinder engine, because these days in drifting, big power, big capacity, lots of pistons is the thing that most of these drivers use. Of course, the Toyota 2JZ, that's the Supra engine, very popular. And also various American V8s, also BMW, big BMW engines, very popular. So SR20s, not as popular as they used to be, but it's good to see them still out there. Of course, the Russians seem to be the ones who like to use them. Here we have a score.
Yes, we do. Our 82. We have got the top score for today. He beat Masato Kawabata fair and square in this first run, scoring 10 on speed. That is impressive.
When we're speaking about engines, does we have an LS engine here?
Do we have an LS engine here today? Let me think. Yes. No, we don't. We had yesterday.
One. There is one.
Which one?
Charles
Which driver?
NG.
Charles. That's right. Charles Ng, our driver from Hong Kong, is running an LS engine. We had one yesterday in Demon Grand Prix, an LSX with a Vortex supercharger. We only have one V8, but it's actually in a 180SX, a Japanese Nissan. So a big variation of cars, drivers, and of course engines out there.
But you know, we have 21 racers taking part in the solo runs, but 3 of them are from Russia. If there's one country that's embraced drifting more than Japan, its home country, I think it is Russia.
Oh, Russia, man. There's so many places around Russia where drifting just has exploded. Of course, the eastern part of Russia, I believe there's a, I could be wrong, someone might need to correct me in the chat, but it's a phrase that I think it's Vladivostok boys. It's kind of like saying, you know, the Vladivostok boys, like the street races of Russia, because Japanese cars are so popular over there.
And we've got Tong, who is going to be taking part in the course again.
And he needs to beat his score to be really in the top 16.
Okay, second run from Pon. The anti-leg system firing shotgun blasts around the corner, all the way to the edge of the track, smoking it up. This car, big engine, small chassis, very fast, nimble car. Always does well in tandems. As he flicks it back, going
to the
all the way out to the outside.
Nice.
They're running the line. There you go. Great run from Pon. And over the finish line, flooring it over the finish line once again for that little bit of appeal to the crowd. drawing a big round of applause.
You just really need to drive that car on throttle, like all the time, staying on the throttle, then the car behaves well, and I think this time he really did it. He was staying on the throttle, nicely tightly around the wall, coming into the inside clips.
Yeah, of course,
Good to me.
being able to hold the accelerator down for a long time is a very important part of appealing to human judges. It shows that you're on throttle for the whole time, means that you're very confident in your run, the car is planted. If you're sort of on and off the throttle, it shows that you don't have 100% control, but yeah, just then Pon, as you said, really hard on throttle for most of the track, and right to the edge.
That was like really cool.
That was a cool looking end to the run there. So once again, VR38, that's the current Nissan GT-R engine, the twin-turbo V6, shoehorned into the engine bay of this little Toyota 86.
So I'm quite eager what the judges will score.
Yeah, it should be interesting. So once again, those are the people I was talking about before, Max Cerrito and Nob Taniguchi.
But this was a way better run than his first run today, I think.
Absolutely.
He's definitely got the course down more.
So if you're just joining us now, I'd like to say welcome to the 2018 FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup being held here in Tokyo, Japan. We are here at Odaiba today. Odaiba, a man-made island in Tokyo Bay. Only a short train ride from the middle of Tokyo. So a great place for our local spectators to come and watch. Also a lot of hotels around here. Also very easy access for vehicles, which is unusual for Tokyo, of course. So also good for our international teams. Very easy for them to get here in the morning.
And, and we have got a score of 80. Not quite first place, but a way better run than his first run.
So a score of 80 there.
He's only trailing Ilya at this point.
Big improvement over his first run. Hooray from our Toyo Tires girl.
And now we have once again got Zach Sergey from Belarus, who's going to give the course another go.
Second run now as he approaches the entry to the course. He needs to go a bit faster than he did last time. So, whoa, big flick on the entry there. It's a full angle straight away. Very deep into the course. He has to shallow up a bit to avoid hitting the wall.
Yeah, that was, he really needed to go from the wall.
Losing a lot of speed there, big understeer. This run is starting to fall apart for Zach Sergey. Manages to pull it together in the end, gets that outer clipping zone over the finish line, finishing the run right, but a couple of big mistakes. Entering well, finishing well, but the middle bit there. Let's have a look at this once again.
I think that we can call this qualification run over from this moment when he's coming just too much to the wall, then he was trying to pull it, and then he's completely on the wrong line. He needs to brake a lot to get into the second outer zone, and then that was like even a bigger mistake. But everything was caused already in the first corner.
Yeah, it was a cascading series of problems there. The problem with drifting is if you make a big mistake on your entry, it can affect the entire run. There's not much time to recover because, as you can see, the course is quite short. Drifting courses tend to go for less than a minute long.
And also, everything is like connected. The fluidity on the track is very important. If you just lose it in one corner, everything afterwards is affected. So everything is connected. It's very hard to make it like really nice to flow. Really not easy.
So we're getting a result from our judges very shortly. Of course, our judges here this weekend. Cyrus, would you like to introduce our judges just quickly?
Certainly.
You have that information.
The judges?
The judges.
It's Ryan Lantain from Formula D, Kamimoto-san from D1 GP, and Dmitry Dobrovolsky from Russian Drift Series.
Okay, so those are 3 judges for today who are doing very, very intense work here. They have got to closely scrutinize each key aspect of drifting as they count up the total score to determine who is the top drifter for today. Now, Zach Sergey, this was his second run, but it wasn't much of an improvement from his first one.
Yeah, there was a different series of mistakes that he made on this run. Looks like he was definitely trying to go harder than he was in his first run, making improvement.
Oh, and here we go. Yep, 56. Not much in there. It was an even lower score than his first run.
I think that he can be happy with 56 for that run.
For that run, I
For
think
that run,
56
yes.
is quite generous. He was being very aggressive because the judges could see that he was doing the best he could to make a good run of that qualifier, but unfortunately, still a fairly low result.
But you know, I mean, I got to admit, watching drifting live, it looks way harder than when you're watching it on TV. On TV, it looks like anybody can do it with a little practice. You watch it live and you just go, wow, this requires a lot of skill.
It does. Just wait until you actually sit in the car as well. We will be having taxi rides later on today with some of the drivers from yesterday's Diran Grand Prix, taking people out probably for their first time.
And with his second run, Chanatpam Kurtpiam from Thailand, let's hope he can complete the course in one piece this time around.
All right, second run now.
And here we go.
Huge entry. He's going to cut the inside of the course. Wow, just saving it. Just barely saving it.
It's very hard to calculate where you need to exactly initiate to have that best initiation. And he just initiated too early, lost the speed, and then he needed to cut in to do no straight.
Managing to salvage that run and complete it though. The 2JZ howling over the finish line. That entry though, very aggressive run. Watch this.
Indeed.
Flicking it very
if
hard.
If you just moved that initiation like a few meters further, it would be just amazing on the wall.
Knock that cone down over
unfortunately,
there.
he did not, and he really cut it in, and he will like lose a lot of points for the line.
100% on commitment on the entry there for Pon. But, as you can see, he had to go quite shallow to avoid cutting the inside of the course, which would have resulted in a penalty. Right about now, he's kind of recovered, completing the rest. There you go, inside clip to the outside of the course. So that, once again, second half of the course, quite good. As you said, David, if he'd have entered a little bit later, he would have been okay. He wouldn't have had to slam on the brakes to avoid cutting the course. Probably would have gotten
and also, I'm
max
quite
points for
eager to see the speed score, because that type of initiation can like really sacrifice the speed. So we really need to wait for the speed. Actually, the speed is only one thing which is not judged by the judges.
Right.
It's judged by the EDS.
And I believe we got one of our reporters, Greg, who is reporting live from the field. Is he going to be interviewing the driver here?
Yeah, he'll be down there today as our pit reporter, because he can speak English and Japanese.
But looks like no interview just yet.
Maybe the driver just did not want it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You should see the death stares that our pit reporters can get sometimes when they go to interview a driver after he's just lost. It can be quite funny sometimes too. So it's
like,
of course,
a lot of people just don't know how much pressure you are under when you're running the qualification. You just take your team, take your car, send it for 2 months somewhere where you cannot even see it. Then you come here, find if the car is okay after the shipping. Then you need to prepare it. Then you need to try.
And here's the score. Not so bad, actually. 62. He scored a pretty good score on style, 22. Well, it sure was a lot better than his first run.
So he was still able to keep the speed. That's very good.
Yes.
But as we said, he lost a lot of points in the line because he just really cut it too much.
But still, honestly, I am full of respect for any racer who's even able to complete this course. But then again, that's why they're professional drifters.
That's why they've been invited here to the IDC. The stands here today sold out. Every single ticket sold out yesterday and today as well. I believe it's a holiday. Was it a holiday yesterday?
It was a national holiday yesterday. That's correct.
It was. So it's a bit of a holiday weekend here in Japan. A lot of stuff going on around here. It's actually a whole lot of what was it? It's some sort of dancing going on around here. Big groups of people dancing. Did you see those?
Yes,
coming in?
I did. Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
You know, I would like to know. Oh,
Yeah,
but on
let's
that
find
note,
out.
we have got Feng Jianqi from Taiwan, who is going to be running the course a second time. Let's see if he can give it a better run.
Second run now for the S15 Sylvia. Running the 2JZ, one of the best combinations currently in the drifting world. Nice speed on the entry, a little bit shallow though. He's running out very wide. He's trying to get to the outer clipping zone. He manages to get that. Holding a nice clean angle. He's not wobbling around a whole lot. slowing down for the technical part of the course. In clip again. This is technically a good run so far for Feng Zhenqi to the outer zone once again. Technically very good.
But the question is if technically very good would be enough. You know, you need to be here great to have some nice score. So technically it was okay, but it was not spectacular. And we really want to see something spectacular here from those drivers.
Unfortunately, in drifting, time is not the only thing that matters, and your position on the grid is not the only thing that matters. You need to show some style and some flair. Smoke, of course, is not part of the judge thing. That it's just a bit of a bonus for the spectators here. But being aggressive like that, showing no fear, throwing it hard into the course, hard against the wall, flicking here, a big flick, not like a tepid little rotation. You want to see these guys be as aggressive as possible. That's going to get them a good score on top of being technically good as well. So drifting, it's really everything. You need to be good at every single part of throwing these cars around the course to get a good score. So we'll see what the score is for...
Let's see what judges think about this.
There you go. It doesn't come down to us. We're here to hype it up. The judges are here to let you know how it is. Once again, our 3 judges, 1 from Canada, 1 from Japan, 1 from Russia. All 3 of them judging in their own respective countries. Of course, the Canadian judge, Ryan Lantain, judging in the American Formula Drift Series.
Now, Feng Zhenqi also ran in last year's inaugural FIA IDC tournament.
That's right, he did.
We have actually got quite a few repeat participants from last year this year.
Yeah, we do.
And here's the score, 77. Actually, quite an impressive score.
Yeah, so score there,
3rd place overall.
77, 3rd overall so far for Feng Zhenqi.
And I guess the ladies love it with whatever they're trying to do with their fingers.
They need to, you know, it's the same sponsor.
And here we go, the Drift King himself, Mr. Masato Kawabata. Let's see if he can do even better on his 2nd run today.
Yeah, he came 2nd in this year's D1 Grand Prix Series just last night. He's out for revenge. There we go, that's the kind of angle we like to see. Very deep.
Oh,
that's a bit of a wall
that
kiss
scraped
right
the
there.
wall.
Kawabata pulling out all the stops here. Shifting down, flooring it, in clip, out clip. Slowing down a bit though, but that entry there, very aggressive. That's the first time we've seen a wall tap so far in qualifying.
So what do you think? Did he show to the judges this is the right way to go?
Well, let's see.
So.
Let's see how they determine that.
Look at this.
Those things more.
Look at the rear of the car. Bit of a wall tap there.
Yeah.
But wall tap is nice.
Wall tap is fine.
You can kiss, you cannot smash.
That's it. Of course, it gets you a lot of points with the crowd when you get that aggressive and that crazy. I mean, can you imagine this car, how as expensive as it is to throw it sideways towards a concrete wall like he does?
Actually, about the topping wall, it was like huge discussion with FIA just to explain to FIA that topping wall is cool. Like before they wanted, like really pushed us to topping wall means like really lower scores, and we were just explaining them, hey, topping wall doesn't matter. If the car will keep in the line, keep in the angle, and will not correct afterwards, fine for us.
Yeah. Personally, I'd like to give it extra points just because it's so much fun to watch.
But if you will give extra points, then you will have drivers who are smashing their cars into their walls.
Well, that's what, like you said, no smashing. Tapping is okay. Tapping demonstrates skill. Smashing, you lost control.
That's it. Yeah, if you...
oh, and here we go. 85. We have got a new top scorer for today. He has beat Ilias 82 to become the top scoring runner. Wouldn't expect anything less from the Drift King himself.
Kawabata always showing a high level of skill in tandem and solos. And there you go, 1st so far out of all the drivers who have run in qualifying.
And he gets the thumbs up from the ladies.
Gets a thumbs up from us as well. That was a great run to call. Okay, next driver now.
Okay.
So show us some nice points now.
Now let's see how Mr. Young does here in his 2nd run.
So hopefully he's made some adjustments to his car, maybe adjust his tire pressures and dampers to try and get a bit more front grip out of this car. Here comes the entry. Okay, he's taking it fairly safe. This is not bad so far. Quite shallow, but look, he needs to at least complete the run and keep it nice and clean, setting himself up for the infield part of the course, running wide there to the outer zone.
He's just really fighting with the car.
In clip.
It's visible
Big,
that he
big
don't believe
wobble
the
there
car.
too, a big
Yeah.
wobble under angle. So basically, if you see these guys coming through the corner, they should be holding their angle nice and steady. If you see them sort of rotating around, wobbling around, that is going to lose them a lot of points.
Yeah, this is the thing, that if you completely change the setup of the car and you just don't believe it, you cannot go on that wall. You cannot go into places where it's too dangerous to destroy the car or end up in the competition. So he tried to play it safe. We will see if it is a good strategy or not.
Yeah, although I've got to say, the second qualifying run is not a time to be safe. You really need to pull it out, like we just saw with Kawabata. Pull it out, pull out everything you have, put it down on the table, which...
and that was the thing, after Kawabata, this is pretty anticlimactic to say the least.
Yeah, Kawabata would not be an easy act to follow, especially after you didn't have a good first run yourself.
Well, I do feel sorry for Young. It must be a lot of pressure to follow up someone like Kawabata.
But what I can say about that GTR, the GTR is a huge machine. If you have like smaller car, it's very easy to position yourself just behind him, and you're slightly more on inner line, but you are still behind him because the car is so huge. So you can take advantage on that track like it's here. So also Kawabata doesn't have that easy job here.
That is true. That, of course, you know, they give it a 5 for everything in the points, the Kawabata's GTR, but it does have its downsides. We have seen it beaten. He almost was, who was it? It was in the D1 Grand Prix, it was Pon in his Toyota 86. Kawabata grossly underestimated the speed of his car and almost lost one time. So, of course, a big car, as you said, David, can have its disadvantages. But yeah, just watching this replay again.
Also, they like lost a lot of weight on that car from last year. They changed whatever it was possible to carbon fiber. That's like a lot of carbon fiber on that car to make it more lighter. But still, it's big and heavy car.
Yeah, D1, drifting originally full chassis cars, but these with regular metal body panels or fiberglass panels. But these days, it's becoming like regular race cars, full carbon everything, lightweight, tube frame where possible within the rules.
And it seems like the judges are taking their time with this one.
I'm sure they want to give him a fair score for that run.
We have got some predictions on our YouTube page right now. People guessing what his score is going to be.
And we will see how accurate they are.
Yep.
Yeah,
we have got a 55, we got a 63, we got a 46. Okay, we're going all over the place here.
We will find some new judges.
Oh, and here we know it's at 36.
Around the world.
We have a -10 penalty there.
Yes.
David, what is that for? Do you know?
Oh.
Did he run?
Actually, I'm not sure. It can be.
Did he run off the course? Did he?
Yeah,
he must have run off the course. Obviously, he has 0 for line.
Off the course, so that should be that -10. But he needs to run off the course like in 2 places to get -10. So it can be like one time during the track I saw one wheel off there, and also you need to keep the car on the line after the finish. So that was also the possibility.
Oh, maybe he made a mistake at the end of the line.
Oh, we have got Mr. Ilya Fedorov giving the course his second run.
So second run for Ilya Fedorov. Very
nice
fast.
and
Wow,
smooth.
look at the speed of this car.
Yeah.
A lot of speed for Fedorov. Our first Russian
Sipping
driver.
through it.
Being very aggressive on the accelerator, revving very high, keeping the revs right up. Very responsive car. This is a very well balanced setup. It looks like perfectly set up for this layout. Okay, it's just a replay of Fedorov. Nice entry there.
Very early initiation.
Flicks the angle and then just holds it steady all the way around the long right-hand sweeper.
But what I saw in the first zone, he did not come into the first zone from the beginning. He just come somewhere in the 1/3. So there he will lose something. But otherwise, in the style, I would say that he will get a lot of score in the style.
So if you're wondering what this car is, it's a Nissan S14 Silvia, sold in Europe as the 200 SX, and in the United States as the 240 SX, with what's known as the Boss kit. Replaces the entire front end with something that resembles a 1970s Challenger.
Like the car is slightly Frankenstein, as the engine is also. It's put it in together from different cars, because the bottom is from S14, the top is from, I think it's Nissan Pulsar.
Is it or a Primera? I think is it.
Or Primera
they have
or
different
something
names
like
around the
that.
world. Yeah, the SR20 engines they run these days, they Frankenstein the engines together to make it
Oh,
even more
and here's
powerful.
the score. 83 couldn't quite match Kawabata's score, but still a very impressive score nonetheless from Mr. Ilya Fedorov.
He got a lot of score for the style, but
Yes.
he lost something for the line, especially in the first outside zone where he lost like at least those 2, 3 points there.
I think Fedorov was trying to play to his strengths. He knows that his car is very quick, very responsive, so he just tried to play the run as best he could, not go out as wide as he could, try and get the clipping points, but just keep the car going as fast as possible. So it might not have got as good as a score as he could have, but he played it safe and played to his strengths is what I think he did.
But you
And
got to
the
hand
funny
it
thing is
to...
that it's actually not his car.
It's not his car?
No, it's borrowed car.
It's a borrowed car?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow,
Who did he
that's
borrow that car
impressive.
From the judge. From the Russian Dimitri.
From the that's Dimitri the judge's car.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So he will see how his car will be scratched.
Oh, okay.
So Fedorov was able to score over an 80 for both of his solo runs in a borrowed car. Well, that's skill.
So good driver, obviously a very well set up car.
Oh, is the first car Yokoi?
Yes, it is. We have
That's
our
correct.
second group of drivers now coming out.
So he repaired the car. That's good.
What's that?
He repaired the car because he had quite serious
Oh, Yokoi.
crash.
Yeah, Yokoi had a bit of a crash this morning. Managed to repair it.
Okay, so what you're seeing right now are the cars in the B block of the solo runs who are doing their practice runs in preparation for what's going to be the second round of solo runs today.
So our second group of drivers. At Group B, we have another group of 7 cars.
All right, so in Group B, of course, you guys were just talking about Masashi Yokoi, who, as you correctly said, had an accident this morning when he was practicing. Let's hope he can get the car fixed in time. Now, we have got a lot of racers here from a number of countries. I mean, virtually every racer, with the exception of 2, are representing a different country. We have even got a racer all the way from Mozambique in Africa.
Yeah, first time we've
That's
had someone.
far away. Like
That is
Yeah.
a long way to ship a car.
Mr.
complete
Richard
opposite
Khan
of the
Shabir
world,
Khan.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long way to ship a car. It's a long way to fly from Mozambique to Tokyo.
Yes. I'm pretty sure you can't get direct.
No, I don't think you can. No.
Yeah.
How would you fly from Mozambique to Tokyo?
By spaceship.
That'd be the
Yeah.
That would be the fastest way.
That or a teleportation device. I mean, but nothing in existence, I guess.
Well, the closest train station to here is called Tokyo Teleport.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Maybe he arrived by that.
That's if you take one line, but there's also another.
This car was so smashed. Like he even pulled the throttle when he was in the wall, and you can hear the cracking like from 100 meters away.
Oh, well, from Yokoi's car?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was quite serious thing, but they repaired it pretty nicely.
Okay, here
Looks
we go.
slightly like missile car.
Oh, well, you know, Yokoi, one of the hardest people on cars in professional drifting. There's never a time. I'd say he has a lot of mechanical issues. There's never been an event where he doesn't have some sort of major mechanical issue. He's very hard on his cars, but he has a very dedicated team who is sort of prepared for that. They know how he is on cars. Have to change a clutch, all of a sudden have to change an entire front end, suspension, etc. when he crashes, but manages to get it out there.
Actually, the car looks like more like after end of the events, not at the start of it.
Yeah, it looks like it's been through an entire event, not starting out. So
Now in the B group, 5 out of our 7 vehicles are running Nissan cars.
That's right. We have a Toyota and a Nissan apart from a Toyota and a BMW apart from our Nissans.
Oh, and speak of the devil, here he is, Mr. Masashi Yokoi himself. Looks like the car is ready to go. Let's see how he does.
Your boy Yokoi about to throw it down here at Odaiba for FIA IDC. Here comes his first run up through the gears, already very high speed. Not the most aggressive run, but look at this out towards the wall and colliding with the wall once again.
And it's a repeat of his practice run this morning.
Exactly the same place. Exactly the same place.
Exactly
What
the same
we
place.
saw from him from the training before, he was like one of the most committed drivers to the wall. He was like scraping it run after run after run, and maybe he wanted to push it somewhere more, and it was not working. It was not worth it, especially.
Yokoi is from last year's competition, one of the favourites coming into today. His car already looking not that great, and after a second collision with the wall, it's even worse.
And his S15 Silvia is really taking a couple of beatings already today.
Look at that, you can see the left rear suspension has been bent.
Especially with
right
S
there.
chassis, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, there's a couple
There's something is
of
broken.
one or two broken arms. But look at that, the sponsor on his door, D-Max, they make suspension parts. They should be able to swap that out in time. Yeah, look at that. So at least it's driving, it's running. Oh, the front end is not looking that great too. So they're going to be working on the entire left side of that car. Let's watch this again. For how deep he went in, that wasn't the most aggressive entry. But look, not sort of gripping up at all. The rear of the car going in, tagging the rear, tagging the front. And these cars, they all run very stiff suspension parts, ball joints, which do not take a whole lot of a beating before they can snap. Great response, but not great crash resistance.
Yeah, this is also the thing about the S chassis. It's very nimble chassis. It's very good for drifting, but it really doesn't like contact with the walls. Like, if you hit it hard, it's easy to bend that car, and it will never be the same.
Yeah, Nissan's sort of the lightweight cars of the drift world, generally these Nissan Silvias. Very popular for a reason, very easy to modify. But as David said, they don't really take damage that well. It's very easy to break them compared to some other makes.
That's one thing about a lot of drifting vehicles is they tend to break quite easily, don't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, as you can imagine, it's not like endurance motorsport where they have to complete 12, 50, 80 laps
Actually,
and survive the entire time.
Not that easy. You know, I would say it's not easy to break them, but those hits are quite hard. Like,
of course,
if you would hit any racing car like that, you will crack it also. So, yeah, and also, if you have endurance racing, the car is prepared like for 12 hours or 24 hours of racing. This car is prepared for two runs. Like, you have 2 runs for qualification, and then you have a couple of 2 runs as a battles. So those cars are like sprinters. It's not like marathon runners.
But that's what's interesting about drifting is unlike a lot of car sports, you can actually use regular consumer-grade vehicles. And that's what's one of its sources of appeal around the world is that you don't have to be a millionaire to get started as a drifter. Although I'm sure it costs you a fortune in tires.
Yeah, having a tire sponsor is
crucial.
You need a tire. You either need an infinite, like one of those magic wallets with infinite supplies of money, or a tire sponsor. It is one of the biggest consumable things. It's one of the things where people who don't really watch drifting too much or understand drifting, they say, "Oh, it's such a waste of tires. Why do they do that?" Well, it's just it's the price of admission for such a cool-looking motorsport.
Yeah, also a lot of people think that the drift drivers are running on like skinny tires, used tires, which have not so much grip, a lot of pressure inside of those. This is like 15, 20 years ago. Now the cars are running like on very grippy tires. They are finding the best grippy tires what you can have, and the tires will stand like 8 to 10 corners. That's it.
Yeah, in the sort of the hobby world of drifting, where people do it for fun, people do tend to run certain brands of tires, certain makes of tires that will last much longer. But in this world, they're using high-end, very sticky tires that don't last too long. They run them at very low pressures, which causes them to wear down very quickly. Okay, so we do have to, for safety, reset the concrete wall that Yokoi hit. So we're going to take a very short break. So stay with us. We'll be back very shortly with qualifying for the FIA IDC. See you soon.
What is drifting? Drifting is the art of making a car go sideways. Born on the winding mountain roads of Japan in the 1970s, enthusiasts would compete in illegal time trials called toge. The drivers became known as the Zoku and were soon renowned for their daring maneuvers as they danced cars down the public roads in an effort to score the best time. Over 40 years, the discipline has evolved from a time trial to a precision driving display. It is now hugely popular, and the events are no longer run outside of the law. Having become a national sport in Japan, drifting is now crossing borders and winning millions of fans around the world. The most famous of the Zoku is Kishi Tsuchiya, nicknamed the Drift King. In his youth, he looked up to the great Kunimitsu Takahashi, a hero of motorsport on 2 and 4 wheels, who inspired a love of drifting in the young Tsuchiya with his spectacular car control. Determined to make his dream a reality, Kishi Tsuchiya organized the first event devoted entirely to the drift in 1988 with the backing of auto magazines. The public responded with great enthusiasm, and where the spectators go, the sponsors follow. Professional drifting was born. Drifting is a technique where the driver intentionally causes the car to oversteer by braking the traction of rear, or sometimes all 4 tires, while maintaining control all the way around a corner. There are typically 2 sessions at a drift event, individual runs called solo, and the finals are tandem runs referred to as battle. Drivers must slide their cars through a designated course while they're judged on their speed, the angle of their drifts, and of course, their overall driving skills. Clipping points are marked on the circuit, and drivers must slide the rear wheels of the car through them to score maximum points. On tandem runs, drivers must also take turns leading and chasing, with the lead car following the qualifying line and the chase car mirroring the driver ahead. What's more, the second car must try to stay as close as possible without making contact. A majority vote from the judges at the end of each battle is needed to proceed to the next stage of competition. The sport is currently spreading rapidly around the globe and has already become massively popular in North America, Australia, Asia, and Europe. At the top levels of competition, the D1 Grand Prix Series in Japan was the first major championship to be organized and remains one of the top drifting arenas. Drifting is becoming the chosen motorsport for the PlayStation generation because it is perhaps the most exciting way to express yourself behind the wheel. The huge range of skills needed to compete at the top creates a thrilling show for the fans, and the result is a spectacle to rival any other sport on the
All right, so we are back. Course is clear. Mohammed Zaham Hamdan for his first qualifying run.
It's not an easy name.
No, it's not. He was here last year in last year's FIA event as well. Looks like he's done a lot of work to the car. Wow, he's driving much more aggressively than he was last year.
And also way more aggressively than
back
in the first trainings. He was like quite fighting with the car, but it looks that he really found it out. So now we can look on the replay how he initiated for the first corner and the first zone.
Well, let's watch this replay. So
can be like slightly closer to the wall.
I think after that, what we just saw with Yokoi, I can't blame him. Look, this is only his first qualifying run. Like we said before, it does it makes sense. It might not be the most exciting thing to watch, but it makes sense for these guys to be slightly conservative on their first run. If he could just do that run a few meters further outwards, that would have been very well judged, I've got to say.
Yeah, also, what you said is completely true. Nothing worse can happen that you are waiting in the queue for your qualification lap and they come to you, oh, sorry, you need to wait like 15 minutes because the car in front of you smashed into the pieces, and probably you were looking forward to drive with the driver because it's very good. So if you hear something like this, it's not easy to drive then very close to the wall.
Yeah, that's right. Imagine this, you're sitting in the car, you're ready to go, and then your koi crashes in front of you. You have to sit there for a few minutes while they clean the track up, all strapped in, just sitting there waiting. It can be quite an irritating thing to do, and makes you lose the sort of headspace you need to be in to throw down a good run.
Well, they say patience is a virtue when it comes to athletes. Oh, and here's the score. We have got 63. Not horrible, but not too good either.
Not too bad for a first run for Mohammed.
Yeah, like I said, he lost points for the line. He was not really on the wall, especially in the first corner and also in second outer zone. So he lost a lot of score there. Because the first outer zone, you need to be the most committed to go there. So there is also the most points for the first outer zone. You can receive like 10 points out of 30 for that zone. So that's a lot.
Okay, and now we have got Charles Ng from Hong Kong, our one and only runner from Hong Kong, who is quite a formidable presence in the FIA circuit.
That's right. He has competed the entire season here in Japan for D1 Grand Prix. Improved a lot on this car. Very aggressive first run. There we go, out towards the wall, feathering the throttle a bit just to get the car further out, showing a high level of control. Through the course, feathering that throttle, keeping the power down, keeping the weight of the car on the rear to have as much grip as possible. A lot of wobbles there though, Charles Ng. This car seems to be fairly peakily set up. Very responsive car, but also a little bit wobbly there.
As I know Kamimoto-san, I think that he will not be happy about that changing of the angle. He will be like deducting for that. Even overall, the angle is not bad. That corrections of the angle are taken like very seriously here.
Yeah. So what we're talking about there when we say corrections in angle, it's sort of obvious on the second half of the course. So Charles, through the bottom part of the course here, through this corner. Now watch after he flicks back the other direction. Here we go, so watch the flick here. So he flicks it to angle. Now watch the angle of his car, see it's straight in there, flicks it around again. That is the sort of thing that is judged poorly in competition drifting.
As what was said on the briefing for the drivers, you just need to put the angle after transition and stay in that angle.
That's
if
right.
you will do any change of that angle, it's taken like a correction.
That's right, it's one of those style points that's very important in drifting. It just shows a high level of skill, and it shows that you can set your car up well into the corner. If you're constantly correcting the position of the car, it means it can mean a number of things. It can mean, first of all, the car is not set up well for the course, which is the driver's fault. It means the driver is not 100% sure about how he's meant to drive the course. That's also the driver's fault. So it all reflects on the driver pretty much.
And also, if we are speaking about the angle, a lot of people think that it's about how much angle you will put there.
And here's the score. We've got 75, not too shabby, but he did score very low on speed.
And it's not only about the main amount of the angle. You just need to have the biggest angle what is possible for the car to still be capable of speeding up. This is the best angle what you can have. It's not about the maximum amount, and also you need to stay in that angle.
That's right.
Okay, and we have got our next racer from Mozambique, Mr. Richard Khan.
So here we go, the first time we've seen a Mozambican, I think that's the correct word, driver.
I believe so.
I never saw any driver there.
First entry, here we go, Richard. Taking a middle line. This is this sort of tactic we've seen from guys who are not 100% sure about the course. They just want to get one run down to keep it clean, but it seems to be pretty good so far for Richard. Flicking it back there, a little bit of an understeer like what we just saw. Gets that outer zone. Once again, in a clip, and flicks it back over the finish line. Not a bad first run for Richard from Mozambique.
He is the only African runner here today.
That's right.
What is very good is that he had like a lot of issues about crossing the line behind the finish, and he did not do that. So he's not losing a lot of points there, and he's trying to reach all those zones to get nice points. I think that he was like progressively getting better and better during all those days.
So this S14 Silvia with the S15 front can be very confusing if you're not too familiar with these cars. What they've done, this is very popular to do in the drift world actually, where you take the front clip of one model of car and bolt it to the front of another model of car. So this would be taking a third generation Silvia's front, headlights, bonnet, etc., and bolting it to the front of a second generation Nissan Silvia.
I'm quite surprised that in Africa they have like good drifters. I thought that drifting in Africa looks like from the Antwerp videos. Like
Right. Oh, what they call spinners, I think they call it. Yeah, that motorsport called spinning is very popular in
so it's very
South
nice
Africa.
to see that I'm bad. Like I was wrong, and I'm sorry for that. And we can see that we have good drifters there.
Oh, and here's the score. Not that great, unfortunately. 61. He scored the highest in line, which has been quite unusual, but unfortunately only a 5 on speed.
Yeah, Richard, his first run Yeah, like you just said, David, drifting, not the most popular form of out there motorsport in South Africa, but good to see him out here today.
And now we have got our first Japanese racer in the B group, Mr. Hideyuki Fujino.
Fujino, an absolute weapon of a driver. Very well set up car. 2JZ powered S15 Silvia. Look at the speed all the way out to the wall.
Oh,
nice. Manages to
beautiful.
pull up in time, showing a high level of control. This is typical driving for Fujino. Look at this, maintaining his speed, holding a nice clean angle, clean line. Watch the flick back here. There you go, winds on the angle fairly late though, but gets into that outer zone. There we go. But that entry though, the best part of the course, the most important part of the course.
Look how this car have a grip. At every time he pushes the front, the car moves. Like you can see that the car really moves forward. That's really good. The setup of the car is good. The grip of the tires is perfect. So he's like really using those skills of the car to run the curves how the judges want to see it.
Indeed. And when you see the beautiful, I mean, just how smooth the movement was, it kind of reminds me of figure skating. You know, when you see a skater do a perfect arc.
Everybody says that.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people compare drifting to figure skating. And especially when you see the Tsuiso runs, the battle runs, it really looks like a figure skating pair, like Torvill and Dean, but they're both cars, you know.
Except they've got 1,000 horsepower each, and there's smoke belching out everywhere.
Yep.
I prefer this kind of sliding around, if I've got to be honest. But anyway, Fujino
certainly looks more impressive.
Oh, I've got to say, Fujino, he's a former D1 Grand Prix champion, and also has a team made up of drift drivers, former competition drift drivers, current drift drivers. He has a very good team assembled. He knows how to build a car to run it at this competition. So he was one of the strongest competitors in last year's FIA IDC, and he's already looking like one of the strongest in this year's as well.
And Greg interviewed him, and looks like Fujino's in a very good mood right now.
Yeah, it's amazing how much of someone's mood you can tell by what you can see of their face through their visor.
Mm-hmm.
Just their eyes, that's all you need to see through the visor. So looking forward to seeing what sort of score we have.
You know, eyes are doors to the soul.
Eyes are doors to the soul. Eyes are, the racer's expression. You can just tell what they're feeling. All right, so we're about to get a result for Hideyuki Fujino.
Although, I mean, that was, you got to hand it to racers like Fujino and Kawabata. They really go all out right from their first run.
It's really expected of them. Of course, this is their home turf. We have guys like this watching them. Taniguchi and Arito, who will absolutely pull no punches whatsoever when it comes to their commentary of how these guys run. There we go, score.
And here we go, 82. A tie for the third highest score today, but unfortunately still not quite enough to beat Masato Kawabata's 85. That is the score to beat right now.
Yeah, there was some small mistakes in the line, and he lost points for that.
And now we got from Russia, Georgy Chivchan, our second Russian driver for today.
This guy is dangerous.
This guy
like
is
serious.
He's dangerous. He's a dangerous-looking man. He drives a dangerous car. Here comes the entry. Look at the speed.
Oh.
Our second Russian driver. Bit of a wobble there, though. Bit of a correction, though. But look at this. Picks it up straight away. The raw speed of this car. Wow. Down through the bottom half of the course. Flooring it. Huge amount of grip. Gotcha from Russia. Over the, wow, look at that aggressive flick over the finish line. He looks like he's feeling good. Let's watch this entry again. Bit of a mistake. Only one thing. Look at this. A bit of a straighten there.
It's not straighten, it's correction. But yeah, it's a mistake. But then he's like using all the power from that four-banger 2.2 or 2.3 liter engine. So it's quite small engine for drifting world, but he's using it all.
And certainly recovered very nicely after that one small blip. I mean,
it's visible that the Europeans, Russians, Americans are more used to drive with the lines and zones than the Japanese are not that much used to it. So I think those guys can get slightly advantage here.
now, Alexei, one thing I noticed is you're from Australia, but we don't have any Australian drivers with us here today.
We do not. I don't really know the reason for that. I guess we don't. I've got to be honest with you, Cyrus. I'm not too familiar with the current state of competition drifting in Australia.
Got it.
You know, of course, all of the guys out here this weekend have various credentials in their own countries, whether they're local champions of their own national series.
I think that the problem is that I don't know if drifting is running under local ASN in Australia.
I
so
don't think
there will be like no communication between FIA and local drifting world in Australia or New Zealand.
Yeah, we do have drifting competitions in Australia, but I believe they run under what's called the ARDC, at least in Sydney.
Oh, and we have got a new high score, 88 points from Georgi
you can see
Chipchan.
that Gocha really used that advantage that he's really used to drive with the lines, with the zones, with the clipping points, because he was like really on them, and he receives like 26 points for the line out of 30, which is really good.
You know what's great is that the first high score was achieved by a Russian, then Japanese, then Russian. This match today is really all about Russia versus Japan, if you ask me.
Last year it was also about that, but this time we have also few guys who can like still change it.
We take a small detour to Swiss racer.
In Latvian car.
Mr. Yves Meyer in a Latvian car.
Latvian built car, Yves Meyer from Switzerland. Huge angle, is it going to be a spin?
That was a beautiful angle.
And he cuts off the course. No, it was way too much. That's the problem. It looks good, but unfortunately it was not controllable. Yves Meyer, is that going to be a 0, David?
I think so, unfortunately. And when we were speaking about LS engines, this is like LS-based engine from Mass Motorsport. This V8 have like 900 horsepower and 9,000 RPM.
Is that naturally aspirated?
Naturally aspirated.
Right, so a big engine in this car. So sliding out, this looked like it was really good under the camera. Perpendicular to the wall, unfortunately not controllable. Straightening up, going off the inside of the course, reinitiating again because, I mean, he's already here, why not? Complete the run as best you can. Track time is track time, even if that results in a 0.
You know, like yesterday during the training, his spotter is his father, and he was like pushing him every time closer to the wall, closer to the wall, closer to the wall. And this today during the practice, he actually hit the wall. But this AGK built car have like carbon Kevlar rear end, so it just bent it back, and he's still continuing without any like visible damage. But I think he's slightly shaken by that.
Right. It's as you'd imagine, mental games does play a part in drifting. You really do have to go all out for just a few seconds. It's not like a long form motorsport where you can plan your next move. You have time to get ready and then make your move. You just have to get out there and go all out for less than a minute. And especially if you've crashed before earlier in the day, earlier in practice, you're not really confident in the car. Maybe it doesn't feel like it used to. Maybe the toe feels a bit different. The front end feels different. The rear end feels different. That can just throw you off.
And of course, nothing numbs your reflexes quicker than fear.
And also, from the training, we saw that he maybe debeated a tire or something happened because the car started to jump.
Right.
So there can be like something wrong with the suspension.
Oh, and yep, unfortunately we have got a 0, although he did score quite well in all categories.
So a good score overall, but David, the course out there resulting in a 0, that's right?
Yeah.
So you have to keep the car on course.
Like anyways, you know, if there is huge mistake like this, it's over. Like in this competition, you are not able to continue with mistakes like this. You will never get in top 16. So you need to really push hard and hope for the best score.
Everything has to go right in every single way in drifting for you to win.
Okay, and now we have got our next racer. Nope, looks like there was a wrong call here. We have got, once again, Mr.
It's Muhammad Hamdan Haizam.
Yes.
Whoa! Look at this entry here. He pulled the handbrake very early. Wow, huge speed on the entry. That was an unusual sort of entry for him there, but we'll have to watch that again on the replay.
He was just close to the wrong line. You need to be close on the opposite side So again, losing some score for the line. Why is line so important? The reason behind that, if you want to have like good battles, then it's important to have right line.
So look at this, entering the course, pulling the handbrake very, very early, but not getting the rear of the car out. He kind of he had another go at it, going down the middle of the course, a middle line. That's a great shot there with the smoke pouring off the rear of the 2JZ-powered Toyota IS. But smoke, not a part of the judged criteria here. Takes that in clip, flicks it back in. Second half of the course doesn't really look too bad. Kind of slow on the rotation there.
Yeah, the second part of the course looks quite nice, but the problem is that a lot of score what you're getting is from the first half. Like, is the most difficult part. Actually, the second part is not that much difficult. So you need to be really good at the first part and then just make it technically correct the second part to have really good score.
Now, Hamdan is our representative from Malaysia today. He also took part in the FIA last year.
That's right. He was here last year in a similar-looking car. He had one little incident where on the entry to the inner part of the course, clipping the outside, ripping his wing off, which flew up in the air. That was him. Yeah.
He shot off, like, I was sitting like a judge very close to it, and the parts of the wing almost hit me. Like, I saw
really?
it very close.
Yeah, it flew up in the air at, sort of carbon fiber and shards of pieces of things sort of flew everywhere. It was quite spectacular. It wasn't a huge crash, but the way it happened was very spectacular.
He just touched it, but completely shot off the wing.
Yeah, it was a spectacular accident. Didn't cause too much damage, luckily for him.
But I think that he bring to
and here we got the score, 68, not too bad. I mean, you scored a perfect 10 on speed and an impressive 21 on style.
An improvement over his first run.
And here you can see it, he was like not that great in the first part, so he lost those 10 points for the line.
Yeah.
Angle judge is Kamimoto-san, and he's like very eager to watch it if it is like completely correct. He's like very strict.
Right.
And now we got the second run from Mr. Charles Ng. Let's see if he can beat a score of 75 that he achieved the first time around.
The second run for Charles Ng. I get the feeling that Charles can improve on it. Here we go, nice long sideways entry out to the wall. Wow, great outer line there for Charles Ng. This is looking like a really good run so far. Keeping his speed up, keeping his momentum. Down through the bottom part of the course. Look at him rocketing out of that bottom part of the course, the slowest part, flicking out, getting that inner clip, getting that outer clip, hanging it out all the way over the edge of the track. Spectacular second run for Charles Ng. Very good flow. Let's watch the replay.
It was quite impressive.
Watch this. He holds that angle. Look at this clean angle all the way out to the edge of the track. You can see him start to get on the accelerator to keep the car off the edge of the wall, using the responsiveness of that naturally aspirated V8 engine. Then just floors it. Look at this consistent angle all the way. Look at that, barely rotating at all.
This is like driver from D1 China and from this year also D1 Japan.
That's right.
So you have like a lot of seat time.
Yeah, Charles has a lot of seat time in drifting this year especially. He 100% committed to D1 China and the D1 Grand Prix series here in Japan, driving this exact car. He was out yesterday in competition in this car. Getting that line, that in-clip and out-clip, I don't think we've seen anyone get those two in-clips and out-clips on that last part of the course as good as Charles has done so far. It should be a fairly good score. It was very spectacular to watch.
He's like a very humble guy. He's like very nice to
Oh,
speak
and here
with.
we go, 85, not quite the top score, but a tie for the second best score so far today. He tied Masato Kawabata's 85, but couldn't quite match Gocha's 88.
But he still really like feels that this match is very important for him, and he wants to get some really good position.
It is an impressive improvement on his first one, and we have once again got our Mozambican representative, Mr. Richard Khan.
Second run now for Richard Khan, about to head out in the S14 Sylvia. We go up through the gears. Here comes the initiation. You can see the black lines on the ground, the sort of average initiation point. He takes a very, okay, this is looking like a fairly average run so far. Initiating average at the average point, taking a middle line. This is not a time to go easy, missing that in clip there. Richard Kahn, a fairway off the clips, just driving it down the middle of the track. He needed to get a lot more aggressive with the course. He needed to grab the course.
And to see, just after the finish, he was like going with one wheel off the track. So we will see if there will be like minus points from the judges, if it was okay or not okay, and we can see it also from the others. What we can see from this driver, he was like completely correct on diesel zone, but otherwise it was not that much correct.
Yeah, so the course, they have to keep it within the boundaries of the course until the entire car is over the finish line. And even then, if they do something, for example, if they spin after the finish line, that can be a penalty, even though that's not a judged part of the course.
Actually, it would be incomplete.
It would be incomplete, really. Okay. Yeah, the reason they're doing that is because, of course, this being motorsport, drivers, if you can trust any kind of person to try and cheat or do as much as they can to bend the rules, it's a racing driver.
And here we got 64, a slight improvement on his first score, but still not quite up to snuff.
But it was far enough, the wheel off was far enough that the judges were not counting it.
Okay,
because they were
that's
saying
good.
on the briefing that they are watching the car till the transition. And the wheel off was just on the transition, so they were not counting it. Which is good that we exactly know the position till where they're counting.
And now we got Mr. Hideyuki Fujino from Japan, who is going to give this course another go. He scored 82 the first time around. Let's see if he can go further.
We're looking for high 80s here for Fujino. Once again, out towards the wall. Not quite as deep as he went last time. Looks like he's improved his speed a bit, though. He's holding a lot of speed into the bottom part of the course. Watch this driving around the hairpin, the flick back here. I don't think this is going to be much of an improvement in his first run. I've got to be honest, he didn't really get those clips as well. No, this is not as good as his first run for Gino. Maybe not really sure on how to improve, made quite a few mistakes.
Yeah, what we saw is that this is like completely D1 style, like really hard initiation, which I really like. But afterwards, they are not working that much with the zones and where the inside clips, where he will be losing something. And we also need to wait for the score from Kamimoto-san about the angle. Because from the video, the angle is not that accurately visible as from the judging tower.
Okay. So, fairly fast here for Fujino. He does have a very fast car. It's very well set up to put the power down, but maybe lacking a bit in car placement on the track. I think he needs to change his mindset a bit away from the D1 Grand Prix style of judging, which doesn't really use things like clipping points, to a more international style, which is being used here today, which uses zones and clipping points to show the skill of the driver. So his first run, an 82, I really don't think it's going to be much. If it's an improvement, it's going to be
86. So we have got our second best score for today, but the score to beat is still Gocha's 88.
You can see that he really repaired the angle thing, and this is what we cannot see from him. So he did get those points mainly on the angle thing, and that's good for him. He just was told by the spotter what he needs to do, and he done it.
There you go.
And now we've got Georgi Chivchan from Russia, our current top score holder, with his second Tanso run.
Gocha from Russia, his second run. Is he going to go even harder? Yes, he is, throwing it deep in, out towards the wall.
Beautiful.
Whoa. The spectators are getting their money's worth today. Look at this run. Gocha once again banging it off the limiter. He's got this car at 100% for the entire run. Out nice and deep into the corners, flicks it back, and over the finish line.
Oh, that was
getting
a beautiful run.
We're getting a round of applause and woos.
There's a lot of
whoops coming around.
I can hear
there.
people going woo all around me. Look at this, 90 degrees towards the wall.
And you know, this is all drifting about. You know, these times when you want to get up from the chair, applause and cheer. This is drifting about. I really like those times when you can really feel the emotions.
It's a great first run. See if we can hear this. I couldn't quite hear it, but he said, I'm going to guess what he said. I'm going to go even harder in battles. Look at this run from Gotcha.
Like you said, he's a hard-looking guy who goes hard when he drifts. And he does not disappoint, that's for sure.
So he's been driving, I believe he's been driving this particular chassis for a long time now too. And so this setup, Gotcha is very used to it. He drives it in Russia as well, in the Russian Drift Series.
He's like really serious competitor. If you want to choose with someone who you want to battle with, I would not choose
I
him.
would not choose. If I was up against him on the first one, I'd probably just I'd tell the boys, warm up the tow truck. We're heading home early.
For me, it would be just like win or completely smash the car into the pieces.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of these things too. It's the mental aspect of drifting. A lot of these guys...
Oh, and we have got 95.
So first,
and Gotcha scored a perfect 30 online.
Amazing run from Gotcha.
Well-deserved applause.
Definitely. And Gotcha has now got the top 2 scores in the solo runs thus far.
Yeah, that's you're right there. He scored an 88, so he was holding first place before. Now he has a 95, so he went from first place to first to even more first place.
Mm-hmm. That's a good phrase, to even more first place.
He's the most first.
He's the mostest firstest, I guess.
He's currently, if you look at all the scores, he's currently in first and second place.
And now we've got Yves Meyer from Switzerland. Let's see if he can give it a stronger run this time around.
Second run from our Swiss driver, this BMW. Up through the gears. Deep towards the wall. Out towards the second wall as well. Fairly late though, but still managing to get it out there nice and deep. Into the bottom part of the course, the hairpin. Dropping revs a bit, but springing out of the corner as the car grips up, gets that in clip, gets that out clip. Overall, a clean run. Great looking car too. Don't spin it. And over the finish line with big angle.
That's way better than the first run.
Definitely.
What we can see here, he was like way more careful with the initiation and the first outside zone.
Yeah.
But then he just pulled it, and it was a great run.
He positioned the car where he needed to. Of course, as we've said before, if you mess up the first corner, it can ruin the flow for the rest of the course. I think this time you've set the car up very well. He went out nice and wide to the left, got the car where he needed it, and then just completed the rest of the course with a nice flow. Here we go, flick back, in clip there, big angle, out clip, but keeping his speed up as well.
It was slightly safe, but
Yeah.
I completely understand why he done that.
Yeah.
Because if you get so low score from the first run, you need to be slightly more careful to be in top 16. Like you can put off like even top 8, but just to be in top 16 to decide in the battles.
Well, so it looks like that we won't be seeing Masashi Yokoi out again, so that may be a retire.
I think it might be, because we now got... Oh, and we have got a score of 88. Well done, Yves Meyer. He has tied the second top score today. Gotcha's original 88.
Unfortunately, Yokoi is out of the game. Unfortunately, Yokoi is out of the game. This is really unfortunate message. We were really eager to see his battles.
I really wanted to see Yokoi. Yeah, Yokoi having a lot of bad luck this year in the season. Coming in the D1 Grand Prix season, coming fairly high in the points overall. However, some very unlucky incidents in the series, for example, beating a tyre in qualifying and missing an entire round as a result of that. So unfortunately, we won't be seeing him out here for the rest of today.
Well, we
comes our
finished...
third qualifying group.
Yes, well, we finished the first 2 groups, A and B, and we have got one racer who's achieved a score of over 90, Georgi Chivchan, Gotcha, and now we're going to move on to Group C, where once again we have got the majority of Nissans that are going to be running. 2 S15 Silvias, in fact, 3 S15 Silvias, and we have got racers from places as diverse as, hey, Czech Republic.
Oh, yeah.
Hey. And of course, we've got another Russian driver, the reigning Russian champion, Arkady.
Arkasha. We're going to be seeing him out there this time. He was out here last year in an R34 two-door, which had a 2JZ engine Was it 2JZ or was it RB26?
No,
it was RB26. Yeah.
It's VR.
No, it used to be last year.
Used to be 2J.
It was 2J. It was 2JZ last year. This year he's running the GTR engine, the VR38.
Or it was maybe RB.
I think it was an RB26 last year.
It was RB26, yes.
Yeah, it was an RB26 last year.
Like
sorry, no.
Drifting
It was an RB31.
Okay, so it had the block from the Patrol.
It was the 3.1 litre bottom end with the 26 head on it. So he was running the biggest engine he possibly could, but he switched over
it's
to
the best engine if you want to blow it.
That is true. Unfortunately, those engines have a very long stroke. It's easy to blow them, but he switched to the brand new twin turbo V6.
Okay, and now our first runner in Group C, we have got Tengku Janlei from Malaysia.
JZX.
So a JZX 100, very popular chassis here in Japan amongst grassroots drifters. This one, a bit more aggressive than most, hitting the wall once, twice, straightening the car up. That's going to be a big deduction in points there for those two collisions. Tengku Janlei, JZX 100.
This is how you drive borrowed car.
This is how you drive a borrowed car. This particular car, originally built by Daigo Saito. If you've been into drifting for a few years, you probably know who Daigo Saito is. This was his famous car he built back in the day that was almost 100% illegal under D1 Grand Prix rules. He's had to sort of tone it back a bit. So one hit of the wall, two hits of the wall, straightening the car up, which pushes the rear end back around. He reinitiates.
Yeah, but from this moment, it's already lost. It's just two huge mistakes. And still, I think that Daigo will understand those two taps. He would not do it a different way.
But you got to hand it to him. He got through the rest of the course after messing up like right at the beginning.
On the most critical part of the course too, just completing the course. And look, the second half not too bad.
I think that he will receive some points, but it's not the points what you want to have to go further.
And if he was able to do that exact run without hitting the wall, it would have been a fairly good score. Look at that rear end damage there. So that rear end on this particular car, to borrow a phrase, more hits than the Beatles.
I think it was cut it more times, like cut it off and put a new one.
That rear end has been removed and repaired many, many times. I think Daigo knows how to unstitch the rear end on a JZX 100 by now. Built at his workshop, Fat 5 Racing. Called Fat 5 because his Daigo Saito's name, Daigo. Dai means big, and Go means 5.
But Big 5 just doesn't have the same ring as Fat 5.
Fat 5.
Yeah. And it kind of sounds like a group from Detroit or something, doesn't it? Fat 5.
Oh, the Fat, yeah.
If you want to go back to the 80s or something.
A rap group from the 80s.
A rap group from the 80s, like Heavy Boys, Heavy D and the Boys.
Right.
And then we got the Fat 5.
Supported by Fat 5.
Yeah, definitely.
And so we see one collision, two collisions. Of course, colliding with the rear end pushes the car around.
He was actually very lucky that he did not end up in the wall like Yokoi.
That could have been a lot worse. That could have been a lot worse because the long rear end on these cars gives them a bit more of a chance to, once the rear end hits and it starts to come around, you have a few more milliseconds of time to recover from that. Because the S15's short rear end, very peaky sort of body. If you hit the rear end on an S15 Sylvia, it's going to come around on you.
There's also a big difference between drift cars nowadays and years before. Everybody now is like making bendable rear end that if you will hit something, it just bends and you can continue. But before, that was like a lot of like dashboards there. If you hit it, it turns you and you smash the car into the pieces.
Oh, yeah, and unfortunately it's a 0. He scored quite well overall, but there was the penalty, wasn't there?
Yeah, that's it. So unfortunately for Tengku, it's going to be a 0 for his first run. Hopefully they can get that repaired. It should be okay. They might have a look at the alignment on the rear end just to make sure it's straight for his second run, but he will be out for his second run. It's safe to say.
The thing with 0 is that here, like, slight straightening is still taken like correction, but this was taken like huge straightening, which is taken like incomplete.
Yeah. Drifting is about driving sideways. If you don't drive sideways, well, you're going to get a penalty for that.
It should be like that.
I think so too. All right, here we go. Next driver.
Okay, now we have got our Japanese racer, Mr. Naoto Suenaga.
So Naoto Suenaga from the world-famous Team Orange. They've been involved in drifting for a long time. Naoto, this car, 2JZ S15, the great combination. Huge throw in there. Naoto Suenaga keeping his speed up very high. This is his first qualifying run, going in very hard. He was out here yesterday as well in D1 Grand Prix. The flick back there, a little bit of a mild kind of flick there. He could have been much more aggressive. That's going to be a tire over the edge of the track as well. So a little bit of a hit and miss run there for Naoto Suenaga on his first run. Let's watch the replay. Nice angle though.
It's really nice to see the difference between drivers. Every driver have like different style, and this is like really Japanese. Like this type of initiation you really can see in Japan a lot, that the car is running, initiates, and then flies nice and straight. Like not every driver is capable of doing it, and it's very nice to see it here.
It's funny you say that. That particular style we just saw there where they flick it, I know what you're talking about, where they flick it sideways and the car goes sideways in a straight line.
Yes.
It is a very Japanese technique. Actually, these guys, Team Orange, were two of the guys in Team Orange were the first to do that sort of thing in competition. The word for it is called tobasu, and tobasu translates to English as fly, as if sort of surge forward. They practice this technique quite a lot. Naoto is very good at it, and as you saw that on that entry, so, that's sort of why he was able to do that. But of course, Naoto, also a very aggressive driver, kind of on the edge all the time. So we did see quite a few mistakes on that run as well. It will be scored well, but a lot of room for improvement. Hopefully on his second run we'll be able to.
And this is what I like about
IDC. There we go, that entry there.
It's bringing like a lot of styles at one place, and you can take the best out of every part, because Europe have some good styles, Japan have a lot of them, and US also, and you can combine it together to have like really amazing things at one place.
That's why the FIA IDC was founded. We want to get a worldwide consensus on drifting, take the styles from all around the world. It's the same with motorsport. You get certain countries, and then we have,
It would have been tied for second if it weren't for the deducted points, but still a very impressive run from the veteran Naoto Suenaga.
As it was said, those -2 points is that one wheel off at outside zone 3. Unfortunately for that.
And now we have got our first Chinese racer today, Mr. Chen Wenqian, I believe is how it's spelled.
So next driver, Sheng Wenqian in the Nissan S15 Silvia. Here comes the entry. Here we go, out towards the wall. Big angle, a bit too much. He's going to go off the course there. Does his best to try and correct it. Started off well, a couple of mistakes there. Okay, looks like he's recovered from those mistakes. He's back online. Watch his in-clip there, great in-clip to the outside of the course too. Looking pretty good on the second half of the run, but some big mistakes at the beginning, throwing it a bit too hard and over the finish line.
Like the car looks very nervous. When he's initiating or changing direction, you can see that the car is like slightly losing grip, and it's not like really allowing to the driver to do really what he wants to. So this setup is not really nicely prepared for this track. It's very bumpy here, so you really need to prepare the car, and the car is just not. Like the driver have too much work fighting with the car that he cannot be really on the spots where he wants to be, and it will be really visible on the score.
So that little in-clip there. Yeah, so David, you're right. It doesn't look like he's under full control, and it's not his fault. It does look like the car is not as responsive as it might need to be to handle this particular layout. Fast entry, long sweeper, and then technical in-course. This course requires everything from these drivers. They need to be really aggressive on an entry. They need to be able to hold an angle cleanly for a long time, and also be able to be technical on the final part of the course. So we'll see what the score is from there. It's probably going to be a penalty for that wheel being dropped off the inside of the track.
I'm quite eager to see also the angle score, because there was so many corrections there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he did straighten up a lot. He did recover very well though. He looks like he's on top of it, but just it's not giving the car, didn't give him a chance.
It's visible that he can repair a lot, that he's not that driver, but he's fighting with the car just too much.
And everyone waiting in anticipation for the score. Certainly is taking a while. I guess there's a lot to consider.
So if you're just joining us now, I'd like to say once again, welcome to the FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup being held here in Tokyo, Japan. We have drivers from all around the world right now competing in solo qualifying runs to get themselves a position in the top 16 battles, which are going to be held later on today.
And here we go. This is the score, not very impressive, 54. It was very low on style.
Yeah, because if you're making so many corrections, then you need to be punished on the style score. Because the style score is about the initiation and also about the transitions and about the fluidity of all track, how it flows. And this was not floating at all. It was like
that's right.
Too many corrections on everywhere.
And of course, it didn't help that he was following up a veteran like Naoto Suenaga. Again, the pressure of following up a strong racer must be quite intense. And now, representing the Philippines, we have got Mr. Luis Gono, our first Filipino runner here today, and our only one, I believe.
Okay, no, we actually have two. We have another one this run, Tony. He'll be out in a second.
Oh, that's correct. Sorry about that.
So first run out, the 240 SX, Rocket Bunny kit, very shallow line there, great looking car. But he needs to, it's not a car show. These cars need to drift well. Losing a lot of speed in the bottom half of the course.
Actually,
Lewis
it was in diesel zone, but it was just too much.
Yeah. Of course, there are parts of the course where they have to slow down and speed up, but keeping a good average speed throughout the entire course just makes the run look good. Let's watch this entry one more time. So starting nice and early, though, I will say, fairly close to the wall.
Yeah, but he's making mistake as a lot of drivers. He initiates just too early because he's afraid of the wall, and then he did not end up by the wall. You need to initiate slightly later to be, and you need to be like very precise about that. If you're not, then you end up in the wall or too far from the wall, like at this moment. So you need to be very precise with the initiation. One of the hardest points on this track, or almost on every track, like initiation is very important thing. If you mess that, like we said, it's very connected, and you will mess also other things.
Well, I mean, precision has been a constant topic of conversation here today, and
That's
indeed,
right.
with something like drifting, Alexei, like you said, you only got about a minute to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Boy, your reflexes really, really count here.
You have to be on top of it. It's when long amounts of seat time really make a difference. Especially like a lot of these guys have been through many battles in their own countries, competition series. They've seen a lot of things.
Do you know how much time it takes one lap here?
I haven't actually timed it. How long is it?
Oh,
It's from...
Oh, but here we got the score first, 57. Again, not a very impressive score. We got two races in a row who've scored in the 50s. A very low 3 for speed.
It's from 19.5 seconds till 23 seconds.
Ah.
So
is that all it is?
Yes.
It feels longer than that. I should have timed it.
But we've been timing it.
Oh, and here we go. Mr. Arkady, the Russian champion, used the top scoring Russian drifter in last year's FIA.
All right, Russian Drift Series, Arkasha in the R34 Skyline with the R35 engine. Big horsepower, here's the entry. Starts fairly early, extends it out nice and deep. Comes in a bit shallow though. But look at the absolute wall of smoke pouring off. He's hit the
bang there.
He's hit the James Bond smoke screen button. Watch the flick back here as well. Inner clip, outer clip.
Oh, beautiful.
Speed, great amount of speed. I get the feeling he's going to lose points for his line though.
You know, the thing is that Arkasha last year almost took the winning from Kawabara.
Yeah.
And this year it looks that he's like really eager to take it. He got better engine, which is working way better than last year, and he's like even more committed to go on this track. But still, the line was not completely perfect. There was like few places where he did mistakes, so he will be quite not that close to 100 points like we want to see.
It was a run that started off mysteriously kind of slow, but then it just got better as it went along.
With the power is not that hard to get faster. You know, this car have a lot of grip. It's really nicely set it up. It have very soft rear end, so if you push the throttle, the car sits on the back, gives the traction to the rear axle, and the car moves forward. So, yeah, it's pretty nicely built car, and it helps him to get the speed. After, when he's losing something, he can repair it very easily.
Indeed, repair it he did. His drift actually got better and better as it went along, ending up in an impressive display of smoke, which is finally cleared away.
It just now.
It's just now it's cleared away. Yeah. You could barely see the arena after he was done.
Yeah, when I was checking the trainings, after his half of the run, you cannot see the second half. Like, when he just goes around you, it's invisible, everything.
You can't,
afterwards.
You can't lose points if the judges can't see you.
And also that there is a problem that when he's coming back, he also cannot see.
Right.
Because he's like running through his smoke.
Yeah.
So he's also partially blind. But today the wind is running on the right side,
That's
so
right.
it's not coming to him.
Blowing the right way.
Yeah.
And also last night we were running the Demon Grand Prix final at night, which added an extra level of
that was cold. I was freezing.
Oh, you were freezing?
On the judging tower.
Oh, you were? Okay. Well, just all the smoke there too. So driving through a wall of smoke with your headlights as well.
83, not exactly the high score we had all hoped for, but still not bad at all from Mr. Arkady Tsaregastev.
Tsaregastev, Arkasha as he's known, a lot of space for improvement, I'd say.
Like I said, it was very nice run, but there was like still a few mistakes which needs to be repaired.
Well, he's still got one more run to prove why he was indeed the top scoring non-Japanese drifter at last year's FIA IDC. Okay, and next we have got our second Filipino runner over here, Mr. Tony Tsuyoshi Arakaki. Let's see how he does.
So Tony, Filipino, based out of Okinawa in Japan, which explains the Tsuyoshi. So he's been involved in drifting for a while now. Here comes his first entry, the S15 Sylvia. Quite late on the entry, but look.
Very late.
Very late. Goes and tags the wall. Big mistake. Not a very confident looking entry for Tony.
It looks that something is wrong with the
There
car.
might be something wrong. He looked much better in practice.
That was not normal what he showed. Like, if you initiate that late and afterwards you go straight, it should not be normal, and it's not normal here.
Oh, and he has actually tagged the wall as well when he came around that first corner. The rear taillight hanging off there. There must be something wrong with the car. Tony was doing much better in practice. Watch this. Watch the rear end of the car right there, just tagging the concrete wall.
And then straightens out like that.
Yeah.
Something must have happened.
Conditions quite changed. You know, like 2 days of the trainings what they had, the temperatures were way higher than they are now.
That's right.
And also maybe he had like pressures prepared for higher temperatures, so he lost the grip. That would be explaining why he opened up that angle too much. So now we need to check the track, like those are the FIA rules. After every time when something happens on the track, some contact with the wall, they need to send their inspector on the track. The inspector needs to say everything is okay, we can still continue. So unfortunately, if there will be any contact with the wall or any other part of the track, we will have some like slowings.
After the first run, after they're all done.
So now we can see one more time the tap on the wall. The angle was like increasing, so it looks like really that he maybe did not warm up the tires enough, or
yeah, it just looks like maybe the setup on Tony's car is just not suited to the conditions right now, the track conditions, the temperatures. Not 100% commitment on the entry, resulting in a crash.
Well, you were talking about temperature, and the temperature has indeed changed a lot compared to yesterday.
Yeah.
Just that can have a big effect on the tires.
like that cold was during the night, not during the day.
Cold during the... Oh, right, yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, so the track conditions
So we
can
will
change a lot.
freeze here during today's evening.
Yes.
Yes,
we will.
yes.
I've got my big heavy jacket on the back of the seat, so I'll have to I'll put that on.
It's
pretty
definitely
soon.
going to get pretty cold this evening. But
Yeah,
you know, the lack of sun definitely makes a big difference. I mean, the sun is what...
Yeah, but for
why
the
it's been
cars,
warm.
actually it's better because you don't have problems with overheating, you don't have problems with other things of the car, and they have slightly more power with that cold air.
And we have got our final racer for today from the Czech Republic, Mr. Marko Zakuril.
So first run for Marko in his BMW. Wow, already this car looks really fast. Here comes the entry.
Ooh.
Conservative entry out towards the wall, but look at that, all the way down to the track. Wow!
Oh, beautiful.
Sliding along the wall. That's the best wall run we've seen all day so far. Marko Zakuril, great sounding car, turbocharged BMW, in clip, out clip. Nice aggressive run for Marko Zakuril, and over the finish line. The Czech competitor, very strong.
So
David, I can see you smiling.
Yeah, I'm very happy. You know, it's the thing is that when Marko came to here, like everybody was like, oh, Czech Republic, oh yeah, you're just here to make the counts.
All right, yeah.
And now he's showing that he's like serious, and I'm really like to see that.
That was an impressive run.
Pushing it like very far. Like when I was speaking to him, he was asking me for a few advices, and I told him, okay, go on the track, find the grip level, and it will be nice, and then you can build up. And he went first time on the unknown track, and he pulled it to the wall. Really push it hard, and this is his way. So, and this car is completely new car. Actually, it's not prepared well.
Really?
Yeah, because it's completely new. It's not fine-tuned. It's very heavy. He's normally driving like with very illegal car here, like M5 E39, which is like completely cut it with the same engine, which is M5 E39 V8 with turbocharger.
Right. Oh, so it's supercharged.
Turbocharged.
Right. Okay.
Turbocharged. And one turbocharger, not twin, one turbocharger, and it have like I think 700 horsepower and 1,000 newton-meters of torque.
1,000 newton-meters of torque. Yeah, it definitely has a lot of pickup, this car. As he came around the bottom half of the course, we could see here, driving in the deceleration zone, slowing down, but he drove out of that bottom half of the course very quickly.
And do you know how he tuned that car? Because when he came here, he was not able to take the fuel with him, so he took Japanese fuel. But there's 25% of ethanol inside of it, which he was not having maps. And the Lambda died just after he started it. So he was like mapping it by feeling of the exhaust. Like
Really?
the smell of the exhaust.
Smell of the exhaust. Wow. So old school.
Oh, and we have got 88, another tie for second place. Impressive scores overall, but of course nobody has yet beaten Gocha's 95. But hey, we still got one more run each to go, so let's see what happens.
Very impressed.
The Czech group.
There's the Czech group there.
And they're happy.
Very
Yeah.
impressed with the Czech driver Marko's first run, I gotta say.
Indeed, I mean, they saved the best for the last. Well, not quite the best, but they saved one of the best for the last.
That was a great run.
Really like to see that he really moved it, and it was like really hard to get the car here and everything, but he made it.
Okay, and now we're going to go into our second runs for the solo runs. Tengku Janlei.
All right, next run now. Tengku Janlei, second run for him. So the JZX 100 back out. Second run now, very aggressive, that's very deep.
Oh!
It's gonna be a collision with the wall once again. Another hit on the wall.
Maybe he's not used to have that overhangs. Like JZX have like kilometers of overhangs.
It is a very long car as far as drift cars go, so yeah, maybe not too familiar with the length. It's getting worse. This JZX, it's starting to look like a wet tissue box on that rear end, all crushed in, and Yeah, look at this. So once again, hitting that rear end, the wheel not on the wall. Once again, our crew heading out just to make sure that the concrete wall is okay.
Daigo will need to work on that car, definitely.
Again, I think he's used to it by now, to be honest.
Yeah.
This is one of Daigo's rental cars. So yeah, if you're an internationally minded drifting driver, you'd like to get a very high level car like this, just go talk to Daigo Sato. He's actually got quite a few rental cars. All right, and we are back with our next qualifying driver. Second run for Naoto Suinaga. Here we go, entry.
Flying initiation?
Very late initiation, though.
What's happening?
That was a bit weird. Maybe I get the feeling that maybe his tires spun up and he had to back off for a second. Wow, the course has suddenly become a bit slick. It is spitting rain very slightly, but that can have an effect on the track surface.
Maybe it's enough to make the track so slippery.
I think it is. It may have been enough. Okay, so let's watch the replay. I think what happened here is that on the entry, as Naoto shifted up through the gears right about here, the car spun up too much. He had to back off, and that sort of ruined his entry.
As you were pointing out, it's been drizzling for a while now, and I'm wondering if the track has gotten wet enough to the point where it's starting to affect the drifts of some of the drivers.
I would just go check it.
Sounds good. Okay, our intrepid staffer David is inspecting the ground right now, checking to see exactly how wet it is. Doesn't seem like it too much. What do you think, David?
Actually, yeah, it's not good. It's the conditions changed. Because it's really lightly raining, but it's enough for this type of tarmac to be more slippery.
And there you have it, folks. Towards the end of the solo runs, it looks like the track is being affected a bit.
Also, there will be a big questioning about one thing, because if will start rain more, then judges can call that they will put away the speed scoring. So it can like change the results. Because there is a rule that if conditions because of the rain will change, they can put the speed score away. And if that happens, then can like move with the scoring.
Yeah, and we're in our second runs right now. So I'm wondering, generally the racers have been scoring better on their second runs, but I'm wondering if it's going to be the other way around this time around.
It can sometimes go either way. If track conditions can change, that can cause a big problem. Okay, so we have the score there, 62 for Naoto Suinaga. So not an improvement on his first run of 86.
62. Oh, talk about working your way down. He went from an 86 to a 62. That's a very underwhelming second run.
At this moment, the most important person for you as a driver is your spotter.
That's
because
right.
he needs to inform you, hey, man, the condition changed, you need to be more careful, it's more slippery, so drive different way, use the different strategy, and as a spotter, you need to prepare this strategy. So at this moment, I would say that the spotter of the driver is the most important person for him.
Now, let's see how Chen Wenchen from China does on his second run. He scored a not too impressive 54 the first time around.
Here comes the entry from Cheng. Very fast, very deep. He had to straighten out a big collision with the wall there.
Oh, he's not going anywhere.
So the track condition definitely has changed between our last three runs. It has
so it's
changed.
Definitely this slippery.
It's much slicker than it was before. So it's not raining. You can see on the screen there. Like people aren't. Actually, there's a few people you can see in the crowd wearing raincoats. I'd say about 10%. So there's enough rain for it to be, I guess, annoying.
It's getting there.
Annoying for some of the crowd. But it can sneak up on you when it's just sprinkling down. It's not enough to make to be any sort of concern too much to people. But when these cars are doing over 100 kilometers an hour on the entry, up to 130 kilometers an hour on the entry. Actually, I'm not sure what they're doing for this. Yesterday in D1 Grand Prix, similar sort of run-up, over 130, the top guys. It can make a big difference. And a big collision, the biggest collision we've seen so far in qualifying for Chen Wenchen from China. It's an unfortunate result. He only has a 54 to fall back on after this second run. See our crew out there very quickly. They're going to forklift the car away. So a round of applause from the crowd. To Chen, of course, doing his best. That was a big, fast entry. And the hand on the hip, the typical helmet in one hand, hand on the hip the other. The standard racing drivers.
Pose.
I screwed that up. Pose. There you go. Yep.
Yep.
Now you can also see one really Japanese thing, like those forklifts. Like that's the normal. Like
they don't do that
any part
overseas
of the world. Like normally you're having a truck with the arm, which is taking the car, putting it on the car, and then driving away. Here, just forklift.
They forklift it up.
Take it, smash your exhaust. Put it in the
well, the guys here, this group of guys, you can see the ones in the high vis, the orange and blue uniform. They're a big group of. They're actually connected to a motorcycle stunt team, and they all drive big American cars. But they're also a big group of professional track workers. They've got their military precision. They all have these forklifts and stuff. What they also do is when a car has a front-end collision and there's any sort of oil leakage or fluid leakage, they'll wrap a big tarpaulin around the front end so it doesn't leak fluid all the way as they so they can get it off the track as quickly as possible.
Oh, we got a bit of an interview from Chen.
He just said sorry that you need to wait because of me. That's pretty nice from him.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's one thing one thing about a lot of athletes is they're very considerate people. I mean, they do this for the love of it, and they know the audience is there to see it.
Well, that's the thing too with drifting. It's the audience is king. If the audience is a big fan of you, even if you don't win the competition, you can still win in a way.
You can still win their hearts, I guess.
That's right. That's right. And it is a very it's a typical thing in Japan too that when someone will it'll come down, just say for example, it'll come down to the final battle, and one guy will crash. He'll get out of the car and apologize to the crowd for not giving them a good show for the final round.
It's very similar in the world of mixed martial arts in Japan. One thing that's great about commentating for mixed martial arts matches is if a fighter loses, they will apologize to the audience for not giving a better fight. And the winner will say, I'm sorry for knocking him out too quickly. It's great to watch. And the respect that they have for each other, that's what I'm seeing in a lot of these drivers.
So there's no shit talk in Japanese...
If there is, you can tell they don't mean it.
Is there any Conor McGregor sort of talk?
No, that's pure UFC, man. That's Dana White all the way. That don't happen here.
Of course, with drifting, a lot of these guys, very, very strong rivals from a long time ago. But they all know why they're here. We can see there the jackknifer K truck, or K van rather.
Two-wheeling?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it written, the jackknifer. That's the name of the driver.
This time we don't have here that 4 turbocharged S14.
Yeah, at the last event we had here, we had the quad, the very famous, internet famous quad turbo 2JZ powered S14 Silvia. Yeah, he was here a little while ago. He was also here last time at Odaiba was the drifting vans as well.
My first question about the car was like, why?
Because.
And the answer is
because. The guy, if you've ever seen the video of that car on the internet, the Takaro Racing, the CLR Racing Takaro Spec S14 Silvia with two T88 turbos and two TD06 turbos, so 4 turbos on one engine.
And jet engine in the back.
He also has a jet engine on the back for downforce now as well. He's the kind of guy who he's a bit ahead of the curve. I don't know, maybe, I'm guessing that in the future, the way with engine technology is going, we're going to see, small compound turbocharged small capacity engines in passenger cars in the future. Takaro,
look at that.
Takaro is one of these guys who he basically came up with the whole, like these days people like, for example, Wisefab is very famous around the world, the whole knuckle system. he came up with that sort of thing about 10 to 15 years ago. But not as good as it is these days, but he's always coming up with stuff 10 to 15 years too early.
And what I was like really surprised that there's like a lot of things which are completely uncommon to everything. Like he got like 2 throttle bodies, like big ones. One is operated by leg
hand.
and one is by hand.
That's right. That's right.
So you just set up like 500 horsepower, and then you're operating with the rest 600 or 700 horsepower.
Well, he said he wanted to make it feel as much like a jet fighter as possible. He's got the small hobby-style jet engine on the back, creating more noise than downforce.
Yeah.
But also, the hand throttle. So he's at full throttle, then he winds on the hand throttle. It's a bit of a joke, but he's the kind of guy who does that sort of thing. Yeah, Takuro. It's quite hilarious.
It's the superb, like, in middle of the show, showing the car. Like the show car is amazing because so much people talking about it. You just post the picture and everybody knows that car.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff in Japan.
And he was so proud of that car, like so proud.
He's put a lot of work into it.
A lot of effort, like.
Well, it was originally a drift car, and then it turned into a time attack car, and now it's sort of the Japanese Batman-mobile.
The Japanese Batmobile.
Well, it's got it has this big bit of bodywork on the back now with scoops and stuff like an Aventador, and it's got like rear-mounted radiator, rear-mounted coolers, and all this sort of stuff.
For someone who don't know the exact shape of S14, would be like hard to say what is that car.
That's right. Yeah, you wouldn't know. It has how many exhausts? It has like 8 exhausts on the side too, like one for each wastegate, and then one cylinder, like one exhaust for each 2 cylinders.
Like the craziest part on that car is the exhaust manifold for 4 turbochargers and 4 exhausts, 4 wastegates.
It's a welder's nightmare.
So there is like a lot of tubes, like a lot of them. And also he positioned the turbochargers that are visible through the bonnet.
That's right, you can see them at the front.
So it's like very, very crazy build.
I'm just showing...
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I'm just showing Cyrus a video of what we're talking about right now from a previous... Yeah, we don't have those guys this year. What we do have is, because we still have some of the D1 drivers here from this weekend, they'll be doing some demo runs during the time between qualifying and
what would be Tokyo Drift event?
Yeah.
Without Evo.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, we also... Yeah, that's right. We have the old Team Orange Evo 6.
No, it's Evo 8.
Evo... Is it an 8?
8 or 7.
It's I can't remember now. It's so old. It's been such a long time since I've seen that car run.
So 8 or 7?
I think you're right. It's a 7. You're 7, right. Yeah.
And it's running with, because it's very hard to say if it's 7 or 8 because the bumper is from Uras or from somewhere.
Oh, right.
So
yeah.
You just cannot tell.
It's still running.
But definitely it's the 4G engine.
It's running
without,
the 4G
without MIVEC, so it's 7 or 8.
It's running the 4G 6.3.
I think even the firewall is moved, and what I was speaking with Kumakubo, he told us that he's running like basically the D1 setup, what he was like racing with that car,
right.
But only the turbocharger is smaller, and also the setup is slightly easier to drift.
Of course, Team Orange out here this weekend being represented by Naoto Sunaga in the 2JZ powered S15 Sylvia, known for a long time in D1 Grand Prix for having various kinds of interesting builds. They started off with a 2-door WRX, the first one in D1 Grand Prix, and then various kinds of WRXs and Lancer Evolutions being converted into rear-wheel drive drift cars. When they could, they kept the original engines for the cars, so the Subaru did have Subaru engines, the Mitsubishis keeping the 4G 6.3 turbo engines. I believe it's an Evo. It's actually an Evo. The one.
Okay, and I believe we're back and ready to go. We have got Mr. Luis Gono from the Philippines, who is going to give it a second try. Let's hope he doesn't wipe out like the previous racer.
Okay, so Lewis, hopefully, as we said before, his spotter let him know the track conditions have changed slightly. Here we go, the entry. Whoa, a bit of a wobble. It's okay, he saved it. Needs to get the power down, complete his run. Okay, so he's managed to save that. First run for Lewis is 57. Bottom part of the course, he needs to keep his speed up. One of the problems with his first run was quite slow. Okay, in clear, fairly middle line there. This should be an improvement on his first run of 57, but wow, that entry was a bit sketchy. Let's watch the replay.
You could tell he was doing his best to not crash.
There you go. So initiating almost begins to
long
straighten up.
e-brake.
Yeah.
Like long e-brake. It was even told on the briefing that if you will do that long e-brake, you will lose a lot of points in the style. So definitely he will lose something there. It was not really in the line where it's needed to be. So also the line score would not be perfect. But we need to still think about that the conditions are not very easy at this moment.
Yeah, the entry you saw there, what they was just talking about. The long entries, like normally you might think, well, if you just want to slide in, you pull the handbrake and let the rear of the car slide for a long time. That's not really what we want to see at this level of competition. We want to see the guys throw in the car and use the momentum of the car to keep the car going, and also the angle of the car, the sideways grip of the tires to slow it down. Known in Japan as a long side, because the handbrake or the emergency brake is called a side brake in Japan, so a long side. In Australia, we used to call it a bum drag.
A bum drag?
Where you're sliding the rear of the car along.
I see, hence the bum drag.
There you go. But so that's not, as David was saying, they don't want to see that at this level of competition. It's an easy way to enter the course. So he wasn't on there, he wasn't on the handbrake for the longest time, but still, compared to a lot of the other drivers we've seen earlier today, not the greatest entry.
You know, bum drag sounds like a dance move, like the next thing after twerking, basically.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You definitely need to have way stiffer suspension to see this S13 to twerk.
Right. Well, you're sliding the rear of the car left and right. That's kind of twerking. Right,
but not up and down.
Not up and down. Is that better than saying it's like ice figure skating?
Oh, and here's the score of 55, more or less. Yeah, 1 point higher than his previous run, but still, considering the current conditions of the course, this is not so bad. He got through it.
But the question is if it is enough to be in top 16. I'm a little bit afraid that that's not enough.
Yeah, with 2 runs in the mid-50s. Okay. And now we got Arkasha, who's going to give it a second go. Let's see how he does.
I think that he would like to repair his run to beat his colleague from Russia.
He would like to be the #1 Russian, that's for sure. Arkady, all the way out to the track. That's going to be a half spin. And look good. No, that was a mistake there. He threw it out way too hard. The rear of the car sliding out, he corrected. So his first run, 83. Arkasha is not going to improve on that this time.
This is what happens. You know, if you want to push it more, it's very easy to over push it, and that's what happened. Like, he wanted to be so close to the wall, to be better than his colleague, that he was just too much close.
He wanted that wall run. Look at this. Looking really good right up until about here. You can see.
Yeah, look at that.
Getting perpendicular to the wall, that is much too much angle for these cars to handle. You can't really keep that going. Inside of the track, recovers there, reinitiates. So he should have been drifting in one big long fluid motion on that corner, not reinitiating like that.
Also, you need to keep in mind one thing, that you have like first outer zone and second outer zone, and in between cars are going away from the wall. And if you will be there on the wall close in between the zones, there's a lot of particles from used rubbers, a lot of dust, a lot of dirt, and the grip is not there. So it's very easy to lose the grip, open up the angle, what happened directly to Arkasha.
Well, he seems quite happy with his run.
Yeah, the first run was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he still has the first run to fall back on.
Which was admittedly impressive, but sadly not within the top 3 scores that we've seen so far today. I mean, 83 is not too shabby, but compared to 95, 88, and 85.
The thing is that, anyways, what is the Arkasha's strong part is the battles.
That's right.
And that will decide.
That's where he really shines.
He's definitely in the game. He will be in the battles, so he will show his power there.
And unfortunately he gets a 0. What do you reckon happened?
That would be, I'll let David explain that one, the reinitiation.
Yeah, this is the thing, like small straightening is like taking like correction, but that was like huge. That was like completely going from maximum angle to none, and this is like too much thing to not give him a 0. Like this, if you're scoring the qualification run, you're scoring it like the lead run, and that would be like completely unchaseable. If
I
you
see.
would be like behind him during the battle, you will be not able to chase that, and it'd have to be called zero.
And now we have got Tony Tsuyoshi Arakaki from the Philippines. Let's see if he can give this a solid second run.
A second run from Tony. Last time he hit the wall. Here we go. Much more speed this time. That's much better from Tony. There we go. Looking a bit more aggressive this time.
Smoother, yes.
Much smoother. Taking kind of a middle line though.
And way much safer.
Much safer. This is the play to make for Tony. He needs this. He needs to follow this strategy. Just keep it safe. Get a score as best he can. 2 zeros would be way too much to handle. There we go. Completing the run. Actually, not a bad line there for Tony. A little bit slower compared to a lot of the other drivers.
Yeah, but if you look
But
at
still,
those
safe run for Tony.
transitions,
Good to see.
The car is not moving from angle to angle as fast as the judges want to see it. So that's like losing some points for the soil. And if you look on the outer zone one, he's like really not close to the wall at all.
Yeah.
So it would be some points, but the question is if it is enough to go in top 16.
Yeah, that's the question. I don't know if...
It's a question of the day, actually.
Well,
Is it enough to get into the top 16?
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of this thing right now is, you know, are they going to be good enough to get into qualifying? That's the exactly what we're trying to answer here right now. So Tony Tsuyoshi Arakaki on his second qualifying run. Just getting our photo taken just now by Japanese GT driver Akira Ida.
We are the popular ones now.
Yeah. Well, we're sitting right up front, right in front of the the track.
And there are 3 of us, which helps.
Like, there is a lot of stars of Japanese scene, like Keiichi Tsuchiya is here,
Keiichi is
Matsumoto
here,
is here,
the drifting is here.
Nomura Ken is here.
Nomaken is
Oh,
here. Yep.
42. At
On a
least
42.
it's better than a 0, but still very much on the low end for today's
That would
tournament.
not be enough to go.
I
in top
doubt it.
16.
Yeah. A disappointing 3 on speed. Admittedly, it wasn't a very fast run.
Yeah, 3 for speed. That's fairly low. So I think I don't know. Maybe Tony's brought a bit of a knife to a gunfight here. The car might not be spec'd high enough compared to some of the other ones we're seeing here today. But still, good effort from Tony, managing to get out there and actually get a score on the board. That's the most important thing.
Definitely.
All right.
But of course, now we only got 1 racer left to go. The man from the Czech Republic, Mr. Marko Zakuril.
He is my new favorite today.
That was a very impressive first run from
Marco's
him.
first run was amazing. And I've got to say, it's the first time I've ever seen Marco drive. Let's see what he can do, if he can back it up on his second run. Was it just one off?
Coming in hard.
Coming in very hard, out to the wall. Just shards of brake light go flying everywhere as he accelerates through the long sweeper, not even caring about that. Most people would be getting out and crying right now after crashing the rear of their car. But Marco, this is drifting, remember? Clip, out of clip, in a clip, out of clip. Great sounding car, great looking car too. Marco, Czech Republic. Let's watch this run again.
Maybe the lamp looks better now than it was looking before.
The line, yeah, I think his line was much wider, much more aggressive this time. You can see there, watch the bottom of the screen there, shards of plastic going flying everywhere.
That was his one blip, wasn't it?
Unfortunately, like I said before, it's possible to hit the wall, but you just cannot change the angle.
Yeah.
Mark was not able to prepare the car that it have bendable rear end, so
Right.
he had a stiff rear end, like
Yeah.
with huge beige bar in the back. So he changed the angle because of the hit to the wall. So the line was really good, but he will like lose some points for the change of the angle by
that's
hitting
right.
that wall.
It's unfortunate.
But I like that.
Oh,
Like,
look.
I want to see that more.
Hey, that was a hardcore run there from our Czech representative Marko Zakuril.
And I think I can hear his fan club cheering for him in the stands.
From all over here.
They are loud and proud, no doubt about
I
it.
think they're the loudest country represent. Even there's probably more Russians here, but I think
But the Czech
Marco's
are, yeah.
Czech goes.
the Czech are the loudest here today. All right. So
No, actually, that was like a lot of people coming here from Czech Republic. There is the main organizer of Drift Events from Czech Republic.
He's here too?
Yeah, he's here, and he took a lot of people from here, and they took like half of the plane.
Oh, really?
That must have been an interesting plane ride.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I was not able to go with them. I was like flying different path, but yeah, that's good to have them here to cheer for Marco.
Oh, and here we go.
83.
Here's the score, 83. Unfortunately, 5 points down from his first incredible run. Still an impressive score nonetheless.
And you can see that the main putting down is the angle score, and that's because of the correction hitting the wall. So if he did not hit the wall, we can think about 90 plus run.
Yeah, that wall hit was okay. And that's it for all of our solo runs today.
Okay, everyone, thank you very much for joining us here for the FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup qualifying. It was great to have you here on the internet watching live. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut to an interview with Ryan Lantane, also Robbie Nishida, two of our international guys here. Now, this broadcast, if you're watching on Facebook, will end and it will restart at 3:15 Japan time. So that is about an hour and a half from now. So if you want to jump back on Facebook then, you can do that. If you want to keep watching this competition, it's on YouTube. It's streaming on YouTube. Just search for the Intercontinental Drifting Cup. You can watch the opening ceremony and all that sort of stuff on YouTube. And the battles will start at 3:30. So that is about almost just under an hour from now. So we'll be back on here about an hour from now. We'll be back with our competitors for the top 16 battles. Also, I'll be back with my two fellow announcers, Cyrus Nozomu Sethna and David Kalas. My name is Alexi Smith. We're going to cut to that interview now, give you some insight and some background on the FIA IDC, and we will see you back here for the top 16 battles.
All right, we're going to see you back here for the top 16 battles. And one thing, folks, when you log back into YouTube, make sure you type English after Intercontinental Drifting Cup 2018. This has been broadcast in Japanese and English. We're obviously the English side. If you type in English, you can certainly hear us. We hope to catch you all back very soon.
See you, folks.
See you later. Good morning, everyone. Hello, my name is Alexi Smith. I'm here at Odaiba today for the FIA Intercontinental Drifting Cup. I'm here with Ryan Lantane, one of the judges.
Hello, everybody.
So we're here today at the Odaiba venue for the FIA IDC. Now, this event, it's been held twice so far. This is the second time this event has been held. And as you all know, FIA, the world's highest motorsports body holding drifting. So this is the second inaugural event. We have drivers from all over the world. Of course, yesterday we had a drifting competition here today for the local series, but today we have drivers from all parts of the world, including Japan, countries as close as Russia, and as far away as the African continent. So really looking forward to that. So, Ryan, how has this event evolved from the event last year?
Well, one of the biggest changes we've made is in the judging structure. Last year we were using an electronic judging system. This year we're using judges. So our human judges are going to be here judging line, angle, and style as opposed to looking at the outputs of a computer system. So that's the major change that we've made this year. Another thing that we've done is put outside zones and inside clips on the course. So we have 6 scored areas, we have 3 outside zones, we have 3 inside clips as well. And that's going to make for a different driving style than we've had in the past, I think, with the IDC. So we're really looking for these drivers to throw the car at the wall. And unfortunately, this morning we had a few crashes into the wall. Yokoi, who was one of the front runners, I think, here in practice at least, is, I think, going to bow out of competition due to the damage to his car. So at outside zone 1, he got the car to angle, and it unfortunately made pretty heavy contact with the wall. Kawabata also made contact in the same area, but I think he managed to keep it off the wall and only has a little bit of damage to the back of the car. And then S as well from Thailand, I believe, also made contact in outside zone 2, though. I think he might be able to fix his car, but we've had some drama for sure. You know how it is, adapting to a new type of driving and judging style with those outside zones being heavy concrete walls that are about 4 feet tall. So it's not easy for the drivers to adapt, but I think they're doing a pretty good job today of doing that.
Okay, so a style of judging more in line with the international standards, but and also a course that is very high level and difficult for these guys. So this will really show who can
adapt to a worldwide style of drift. So you mentioned a few of the drivers before. Who are the heavy hitters coming into today's competition?
Well, watching practice, Yokoi was one of the favorites, I think, coming into practice today. But unfortunately, in the session this morning, kind of put that car on the wall, so that might knock him out. Kawabata was looking pretty good as well. The car is very planted and very fast, so he's able to get the thing to angle very quickly and is confident getting out to those walls. So he looked really good. Another standout driver was Tengku Jian from Malaysia. He is using one of Daigo Saito's cars, one of his JZX. And unfortunately, he ended up with some engine trouble on day one. Blew the motor. They had to take the car back to Daigo Saito's shop, and they put a new engine in it. He's back here today and is doing very well. He's very comfortable in that car, considering he only had 5 laps in it before coming here to competition. But he's looking great, very confident, getting the car out to the zones that are not easy to get out to. So those walls are very scary for a lot of drivers, but a lot of them are adapting pretty quickly. Who else is standing out in our field? We have a driver, like you said, from South Africa. We have a driver from Switzerland who has an HGK BMW, one of those Eurofighters. That car looks incredible on the track, and he's coming to terms with it pretty quickly. It seems like he's getting comfortable with it. It's not an easy car to drive, and I think this is only his second year drifting, so it's a big step up for him to come to an event like this where he's expected to get really close to those walls and throw that really beautiful carbon Kevlar body right up on the concrete.
Well, I really think it's a good opportunity, this event, for a lot of international drivers to be exposed to a lot of other international drivers, a lot of styles, techniques, and a bit of a different environment, which is going to push the sport forward, which is really what the idea is for the FIA, is to create a worldwide level of drifting that could be held anywhere around the world, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's really getting these drivers comfortable with one another, with the judging system. And the judging system is one that has been evolving, not only from last year's actual system, but throughout the off-season, we've gone through different versions of the rules. We have a very big group of international organizers, judges, promoters that are involved in trying to build the new judging system. And it's been very taxing, trying for us, because we have so many people involved, and we have different series from around the world that have different ideas of how it should be done. So what we ended up with is a pretty rich blend of ideas and thoughts from all around the world, which I think is giving this that international flair that the FIA was going for.
We'll see a never-ending story of international motorsport, these sort of issues, but looking forward to a really good event here today at Odaiba. Hope you enjoy it and enjoy the action. I'm also here with Robbie Nishida, who's helping out here this weekend. Now, Robbie, involved in drifting in Japan and all over the world now. Robbie, you've been a professional drifting driver. You're now involved in bringing the sport higher and higher. How is it evolving?
Well, I think it's evolving in a great way. Looks like there's more spectators every year. There's more drivers that are interested to be being an international driver to drive everywhere. So like this weekend, we have a lot of drivers from outside of Japan. We also have a lot of Japanese drivers going all over the world to go drifting. So this is just exciting to me. You know, it's like a dream come true for me to be able to be part of this. It's a great thing that FIA has their hands in this, making the drifting a legitimate motorsport for everybody else to enjoy in the world.
So you've been involved in Japanese drifting for a long time. How does Japan compare these days to drifting around the world?
All right, so I know there's different venues that has different judging styles, and FIA has been figuring out what they're trying to do, because, you know, this is the second time they're doing it. But I know for sure that, you know, as long as it's dynamic and it's cool, you know, everybody likes drifting. A lot of smoke, you know, a lot of angle, loud cars, you know, it's just really exciting. As long as it's exciting, it's cool. But if the drivers want to do something, this is a place where everybody can just kind of show off their skill and show off their lifestyle, show off how cool they look. You know, it's a tool for any human being to look cool out here, you know. So I think overall, wherever the drifting is and whatever the rules there are, you know, it's just a cool sport, and I'm just really happy that everybody's actually focusing into it and trying to make it a legitimate motorsport.
All right, so a few words there from Robbie Nishida. Thanks, Robbie. Thank you. Back to the action.